2025 Louisville football season and, in earnest, the 2025-2026 U of L athletic season. Roman Kelly is here. He's rocking. He's ready to go. You just heard him, hopefully, for the last 30 minutes on Running with Roman. Give him a follow on Twitter, @RomyBean. Roman, how are you, buddy?
Doing great, Mike. Excited to be in here. Feeling good. Ready to talk all things Cardinal football with you. Louisville sports. Discuss the weekend as well. But I'm feeling great. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Very happy. I mean, how the hell can you feel anything other than, what more do you need right now? We're 5 days away from kickoff. The weather, I legitimately don't think it could be better than it is right now. You got 76, 77, blue skies, big cotton candy, gorgeous clouds, a little bit of crispness in the air, but not too much for this point in the calendar year. It felt like football this weekend. I mean, I got up this morning. We're getting the kids ready for school. It's like 53 or 57 degrees outside. It's beautiful. You're eating out lunch outside comfortably. It's wonderful. Everything's happening right now. I know we're going to have one last gas of summer for the next couple of weeks. It'll get really hot again. It always does that. But for right now, the world is pristine. Nothing can affect us in this moment.
Nothing.
It's beautiful. How was your weekend, buddy?
It was good. I had a pretty good weekend. Worked all day Saturday. Well, not all day, but in the very, very middle of the day doing the Colts stream on our radio station here, the Big X.
Nice.
And trying to tune into Tyler and watch Tyler at the same time, of course. Didn't get into anything else really that Saturday night. Buddies were out, but I should have went out. A couple of buddies were at O'Shea's, and a handful of the basketball players were there. But missed out on that, I guess. But we had the Cole Sherman basketball camp today. That was fun. Got to meet a handful of the players on the team, Mike. Got to meet Will Hankey, Spencer Legg, Dylan DeBaines, not Desbians.
Oh, really?
Yes, we were wrong. It's
DeBaines.
There's an S at the end, right?
There is.
Yeah, so it's Dylan DeBaines.
DeBaines.
Can't remember if he said DeBaine or DeBaines, but
we need the
definitely wasn't
pronunciation
Desbians.
guide. Okay.
So
it's a tough name.
It is, but got to talk to him, chat with him, got to, juggle the soccer ball with Mo Kamara for a minute. That was fun.
Nice.
Adrian Woolley, Ryan Conwell, Isaac McNeely showed a little bit later on. Well, Isaac about halfway through, Adrian Woolley and Ryan Conwell towards the end. Got to, basically run the camp. I was the MC, so keeping everything energized, keeping the campers going and stuff.
Does Isaac think he's too good for Cole Sherman's camp?
No, he was there.
Halfway through. I don't like that.
He might have been busy.
We're going to call him out right now.
Well, no, listen, it's, shooters are busy, Mike.
If Mo Kamara can be there at the time it starts, Isaac McNeely can be there at the time it starts.
That's true. Mo was working on the right corner fadeaway from 3.
Nice.
Hit a few of them. He hit one from really deep, and he was like, under his breath, you could hear him go, like, yes. I thought that was super funny. But that was a fun time. Shout out to Cole Sherman for letting me come MC his camp and be a part of that and rub elbows with all those guys. Will Hankey and Spencer Legg, got to chat with them a lot, actually.
I did love, real quickly, I watched Jody Demling did like a little story on Cole's basketball camp.
I saw him there. He was there. He had the camera. I didn't know what he was doing with that.
Well, there's a video of him interviewing Cole Sherman. Just a standard 2-minute interview where he's saying, this used to be you not that long ago going to these types of basketball camps. How does it feel to give back? And in the background, you're very audible being like, 9-8 now. You're calling the score of the little game that's going on as it's happening. And I kept watching it and just laughing. I basically, no offense to Cole, I was just waiting for you to say something else in the background just so I could hear what you were doing and what was going on there. But very cool that you were out there. It's so funny how small, Louisville's the smallest big city in the world. We were talking so Mary and I went out for our anniversary on Friday night because she had been sick the week before, so we didn't get a chance to go. And of course, the conversation ends up becoming about our kids and a little bit of work stuff, just the standard stuff. And we were talking about Cole coming on the show on Friday. And I'd forgotten our babysitter who's over there today, who's awesome. We love her. Her boyfriend's best friends with Cole Sherman. And they had just gone to the lake together, and he brought Mo Kamara along because he's kind of taking him under his wing. And she was talking about how her boyfriend was going to be out at the basketball camp, and she was talking to me about that today before I left. So you may have rubbed elbows with our boyfriends, our babysitter's boyfriend out there. Everybody was at the Cole Sherman basketball camp is my point this weekend.
It was great.
It's a small city.
Fun time.
What else did you get into?
We watched Weapons. Me and the girlfriend went to go see Weapons Sunday night.
So was this effective bullying by the text line, or did you choose to do this on your own?
Well, once the group chat saw it and they started saying similar things to the text line, I had to go make it happen.
Text line hasn't shut up about this movie in 3 weeks.
Had 2 or 3 guys in the group chat saying that they were going to see it for a second time. Mike, don't even go watch it.
Oh.
It's not even worth watching.
Oh.
I'm talking the plot was overwhelming. I feel like
coming at your head today.
I feel like the wow factor wasn't there, Mike. The gore and the thrilling jump scare type of scenes, they were good. They did their job. I feel like the acting and producing was good. I don't think the quality of the acting was bad by any means. The plot and the story and it's the purpose of what they were trying to prove and how they did it, I feel like does not deserve the hype that it's got.
You know what's going to happen today.
They're going to grill me.
But you know what they're going to say. Well, you didn't get it.
I didn't get it. I didn't know how to watch a movie.
The Jonah Hill from Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where he's like, "Did you get it? But did you get it? Did you really get it?" Like,
my horror film comprehension is terrible. Let me have it.
That's anybody. I mean, we all. The sad thing is, I'm criticizing people for doing this. We all do the same thing. If you share a song that just connects with you in a certain way, or a movie or a TV show, and you share it with somebody that you really care about, and they're like, "Yeah." You know, your first instinct is, well, you don't get it. You know, everybody does the same thing. It's not that the song doesn't have universal appeal or that the movie isn't brilliant. It's just, you know, you don't get it. You're not looking at it the right way. It's you. It's not the piece of art out there. And that's what the text line's going to do to you today.
It is. I'll say that one of my main reasons for at least like within the details of the plot, because I don't want to give out too many details to people who haven't seen it, though. There is a lot of inconsistency with the aspect of the Ring cameras, right? That just, if you're going to use Ring cameras the way you did, use them fully the way they would have been used with the thinking that which they had. Right?
You got continuity issues
One dad
with this movie.
looking into the Ring camera work and not an entire, police force, other parents. One dad going crazy about it and trying to figure this out on his own. That's also unrealistic. Why was only one parent going to that link, to those links? Just too many inconsistencies. If you're going to make one dad be that crazy, there should have been at least 2 or 3 dads being that crazy.
Okay.
17 kids. But I don't want to give any details.
I don't know anything about the movie. Outside of the text line's been trying to bully us to see this for a long time, and it apparently worked on one. But you're saying don't even bother.
Don't even bother.
There's no motivation for me to see this movie.
2 or 3 moments I was like, I would be content if we left right now. Without
wow. Wow. Okay.
But we also got free tickets from my parents' Cinemark app with rewards, so we didn't pay for those tickets. We would have paid, probably wouldn't feel that way.
Cool dad and stepmom just hooking it up, just doing what they do.
That's one of those. We're not the biggest movie family. I don't understand why they pay like $12 a month for free rewards for 2 movies a month and for concession discounts. Just interesting, but we use them and I take usage of them, so. I'm not mad at it by any means. But I just wasn't very impressed, Mike, with the ending, the outcome, and what they were trying to show, with what I felt like they were trying to show. A couple of things that I read after, just making sure I was, picking up what they were putting down at least a little bit. Then I saw a couple takes that made a little more sense, that they were also kind of a bit more of a stretch. But I just think for the hype that it's gotten, definitely doesn't deserve a rewatch, in my opinion. So
Okay, all right.
But I think all critically acclaimed movies that get this kind of hype are, in a way, worth watching. Go see what your brain does when it watches it. That's almost worth the experience in itself.
I'm going to see it this weekend and be like, it's the greatest movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm going to come back on Monday after watching it on Sunday and just say, Roman's an idiot. He just didn't get it. It's the best movie I've ever seen.
Well, Longlegs is the same producer. We've heard that, right? The movie Longlegs?
I don't know anything about it. You're acting like I've seen a movie in the last 2 years besides like 2 that have been streaming.
I think there's a movie called Longlegs that has the same writer. And
it sounds right.
It was a really big talked about kind of a horror film, and there was a lot of it the same. Like there's people who loved it and people who didn't like it, and like something, as producer Matt was telling me, there's people who are now reversed. Like people who didn't like I've already forgot Longlegs, now liking Weapons, even though it's kind of got a similar aspect on how fans are judging it, at least from what I've heard.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm glad you had a good weekend.
It was a great weekend. Knee feels good. Gonna talk to the doctor today. Gonna get the surgery on the schedule sometime here soon in this week.
I saw a boomerang of you dribbling the basketball.
Yeah,
no brace on out there.
A lot of backlash on that.
Planting that knee. I mean, Texter said legitimately, like his words laid it out exactly. After a couple of months, you're gonna feel like you can do whatever you want on that thing. You're gonna have the risk, and if you go out there and do it, like you're gonna cause unfelt damage. and you're out there. You're tempting fate, Roman.
Well, I think that was a post-op text, I believe. I thought it was.
I need Cool Dad's number. I'm going to start texting with Cool Dad and just get you bottled up. Just make sure that he's aware of what's going on here.
I was just a quick couple of dribble moves. I didn't do anything. I didn't push it to the limits at all at Cole's camp. I did go to the range on Friday evening.
Golf or gun?
Golf. Probably was.
I knew it was.
Holly asked the same thing. He said, I'm going to the range. She said, which one? What? I don't have a gun.
He's a gun guy now. He's ready to go. I would just love to be texting Cool Dad, like sending him your Instagram story, like screenshot it, and then send it to your dad and just be like, you seen this plebe? What are we going to do with this kid? Come on, man. Let's get together. Glad you had last kind of, I don't want to say last free weekend because there are breaks in the middle of the season. There's some time off and here and there. But it does sort of feel like the last gasp. We were talking about what to do this weekend with the kids and getting stuff ready. We're having Virginia's birthday party at the house in a couple of weeks. And, it's kind of like, all right, like if we got stuff around the house, big projects to do, kind of got to get it done now because once football starts, there's a lot going on. Football bleeds right over into basketball. Basketball bleeds right over into the late baseball sports and all that. The spring sports madness, the transfer portal madness now, NBA draft declarations, all that good stuff. So like I said last week, once the ball gets rolling, it really doesn't stop until the college baseball season comes to an end for Louisville, and it's wonderful. I mean, it can't. There are some years where I'm kind of holding on to summer. This season, with all we have to look forward to, not just with football, but with everything, I found myself these last couple of weeks just feeling like time was crawling. And now we're here.
Yeah, it was tough for me.
And the last 3 weeks, for whatever reason this year, were especially brutal.
I also had a torn ligament in my knee, so that didn't help. I couldn't go do anything after work either. But
it's not great either.
It was tough to develop to try to be entertaining even.
But we're here. We're raring to go. We did have a solid last weekend. Like I said, Mary and I went out, had a little drink. I was hitting up people. I was like, where do people get drinks before dinner these days? And we went to 7 in Nulu, which is, I think,
I've heard of that.
Rick Keeber's place.
What'd you think?
I was told it was the hottest cocktail bar in the city. And so we strolled in there. My drink was delicious. Mary's drink was fantastic. She had 2.
Was it like $13?
You know what you're getting into.
I just hate that.
I know. I mean, but it is what it is.
I get the experience is better than like an average bar and stuff, and the drinks are more intricate. But
talk to me again.
The
in
amount of
15 years.
alcohol and liquid that you paid in the one drink is just kind of crazy that they can charge that much.
Roman, we don't get out much these days.
I get it.
So when we do get out, we're more than willing to pay $16 for a drink just to be out and about and have semi-adult conversations, which is wonderful. Went to Jack Fry's. Delicious as always. And like I'd forgotten. I didn't realize we had an old gift card from my grandma from like 2 Christmases ago, which thank God we remember. That made dinner a little bit cheaper, made you feel a little bit better about spending that $16 per drink beforehand.
Dessert?
It was our anniversary, so they hooked us up with a free dessert, and we got the Louisville cream ice cream that they make just for Jack Fry's is incredible. It's like my favorite ice cream in the world. And I don't know if it would be that way if it was sold publicly, but it's delicious. I eat it up. So we had that dessert. The whole meal was fantastic. Got home, spent some time with the kids on Saturday. The kids, it kind of broke Mary's heart. She was like really desperate to go to Lakeside. The kids had no interest whatsoever in going to Lakeside. So at a certain point, you can't just drag them kicking and screaming. So we went to Tyler Park, played around there for a little bit on Saturday. Got some stuff done around the house yesterday. It was a nice little laid back weekend, nice school weekend before we get back into the flow today. But my focus was thinking about football. Watched Kansas State versus Iowa State on Saturday. Watched a solid chunk of Stanford versus Hawaii. Cardinals suck, man. Like that's. I know it's a different team. I know it's a different season. But if you're like me, you watch that game and you still were thinking, how the bleep did we lose to these guys last year? Like how the hell did we lose to this team? Hawaii gets it done the last second. Did you watch any of the Week 0 games on Saturday?
No.
I know you were out and about.
Not the Hawaii Stanford, but caught a good versus Kansas State and a good amount of the Sam Houston WKU game. That's the only ones I caught live. Everything else highlights.
I mean, we have to talk about the big story of the weekend in college football, which wasn't a extremely competitive game being played between 2 top 25 teams. Iowa State pulls off the up. We were right. We're 1 for 1 on our big picks going into a week.
You got all 5 right.
Did I get all 5 right?
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
got
remember.
4 out of the 5.
Well, I mean, a couple of those were pretty. They were layups. But we both took Iowa State straight up. Very entertaining game, sloppy game. Field conditions didn't help. But the big story of the weekend to me was Kansas State losing, and then its starting quarterback's dad and the starting quarterback's brother getting into a fist fight in the parking lot that was caught on video. I'm assuming you've seen the video at this point.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've heard about it.
So
I heard some quotes about it too.
Yeah, like it's Avery Johnson, the K-State starting quarterback. It's his dad and then his other son, the dad's other son, like wrestling around on the ground. And you see like they're like pulling the dad off the kid, and the kid gets up and he's kind of trying to go back after him. They released a joint statement on yesterday morning, apologizing and saying, embarrassing. I can't imagine. We talked about in the show the ideal ways to start a season. Do you like playing the really tough game? Do you like playing UK? Do you like playing the easy game? This is something this is something that we can avoid by playing our bye game in week 1. Not only do you lose the game, you have you have the biggest national oh my god sports story of the weekend is your starting quarterback's dad fighting his brother after the game and having it all caught on video. I can't think of a worse start to a college football season than that. It's a conference game too. It's a terrible look, but I mean, what do you say? Boys will be boys.
The puddle in the concrete.
Yeah, it's raining in the concrete out in the parking lot. They're rolling around in the concrete. The first time I saw the video was, I guess, Sunday morning, and it was Danny texting me and a couple other buddies and saying, this was basically me and my dad after I got my Trinity placement test score, because apparently he did very bad in the placement test, and his dad was furious. So that was my first introduction to that. I mean, if you're the poor quarterback, imagine like you had a little bit of a rough game. You lost to a conference opponent, a hated conference opponent. Those two teams don't like each other at all. You're on the team plane flying back from Ireland, and you check your phone. You're like, all right, I'm going to stay off social media. Let me just take one little look at what's going on. It's like, oh, my God, Dad's fighting Tan. It's also, they have the weird thing. We can just say it. Avery Johnson, the quarterback, looks incredibly white. Like he looks, if you just saw him, you would say, well, that's a white guy. His dad, very much black, and his brother, also much blacker than Avery. But they're like, it's a mixed marriage. The mom's white, the dad's black. Sometimes the kids get different levels of skin tone.
Yeah. And
so like the entire sports world was like, I just found out after the game that this guy's, I guess, half black because he doesn't look like it at all. I mean, it was like it was my first thought too, was that this is a lie. This isn't real because it's clearly not his dad. And then you saw all the family pictures that were posted under the video, and you're like, oh yeah, it's a tough look for Avery. That's a rough go. I don't know how you explain that. It's gonna be a tough conversation at Thanksgiving.
Dad fighting brother in Dublin's tough look.
Also, the brother is like, he looks huge, and the dad is very clearly on top of him when they're pulling it apart.
Punching him in the head.
Just goes to show, like, you're never going to beat up dad. Like, it doesn't matter how big you get. Like, the dad's strength always, in those types of situations, the dad's strength always comes out, and it always reigns supreme. But with
that being said, though,
okay,
Dad must have been plastered.
Oh, yeah.
To fight your son in Ireland?
I mean, and the brother's like, God, like, he's taking his anger at Avery out on me again. Like this isn't the first time that this has happened, where he's been pissed off at one of the kids for the way that they've played. He's ready to fight. He's ready to be angry, and he's taking it out on the kid. Like, this is not the first time that the father has fought one of his sons. There's no chance whatsoever. What a beautiful, ridiculous start to the college football season. If week 0 is any indication, we're in for a bat bleep crazy season, and I could not be more excited about it. Before we go to break, I'm just going to ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot right from the beginning. Confidence level, 1 to 10, Louisville EKU. How do you start 2025? What do you do? How do you handle this?
10 out of 10.
Oh, he's going 10 right off the bat. If we lose, you're off the show. That's it. It's done. It's done. You can't do it again if we lose the game. We will talk a little bit about EKU after the game. We have an opening line for the spread for this week. We got Jeff Brom giving us his thoughts on week 1 and also kind of wrapping up fall camp. We'll talk about that after the break. We'll certainly get to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line at 502-414-1450. Some other kind of hodgepodge stories from the weekend that was. Good news for U of L sports outside of basketball and football. We'll get to all that after the break. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, the first game week edition of the season, right here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio.
Just one look at
football here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We are brought to you by our friends over at United Mechanical. If you're a Louisville football fan, make sure you link up with United Mechanical, Louisville football's winning choice for reliable HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration services. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133. You can also visit them online at unitedmechanicalinc.com. Real quick before we get into Louisville stuff, I hate to start the first Monday of week one, well, I guess the only Monday of week one, with a little bit of a bummer news. But, Roman, did you see, I guess yesterday, the report that Kentucky has named its starting quarterback?
I haven't. Is it who we think it is?
It's, unfortunately for us here at the show, it's incarnate word transfer Zach Calzada.
Mr. Calzone.
The big Calzone, as they call him on this show and no others, has been named the starting quarterback at Kentucky. You might think, okay, well, this is bad news for the Cutter voice. We're not going to be able to bring it around until Cutter becomes. I mean, Cutter's going to be named the starter by like week 5. This is it's a guaranteed deal. But this does give us the opportunity, if Calzone goes out there and plays very poorly against Toledo over the weekend, and God forbid they can't pull out their week 1 game, that we could just, you may have some folks calling into our show next Monday saying Cutter would have won by 25.
I don't know about that Calzona. I like Cutter. He's from here.
Was that Italian?
Cutter already played in the SEC last year. He's already done it. I don't know about this Calzetta. I don't know about him, Mac.
It's time. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. It's time. Cutter. Get him in there. Week 2, let's go. Let's ride with Cutter. In all seriousness, if they go out there and they lose week 1 to Toledo, they should just throw Cutter Boley out there in week 2 and let him be the man, even if he's not as good as Calzada, because the season's over. Let him go. If you're going to go 3-9, 4-8, go 3-9, 4-8 with somebody who's going to be in your program next year.
You saw Cutter. He had 10 completions versus Texas last year. Throw him in the game. Come on, Mark.
Mac Brown said he's the best quarterback he'd ever seen. I don't think Mac Brown's the coach of Texas anymore. He was watching, though. He was watching. All right, let's move on. Louisville kicking off its 2025 season on Saturday, 3 o'clock against Eastern Kentucky. I'll read the stuff that Keith writes about the Colonels this week on Card Chronicle. I am going into this knowing very little about EKU. Very little. Roman, what can you tell me about Eastern Kentucky football right now, top of your head?
They were one of the better teams in their conference last year.
Were they?
Weren't they? Or am I thinking basketball?
They were in basketball for sure. They choke in the OVC tournament every year. Football, okay, I'm just going to pull it up. They did make the FCS playoffs last season, but they were 7-5 going into said playoffs. Part of that is, though, they played 2 FBS opponents last year. They were pretty good at the FCS level. Like you said, I guess they won their conference to make the playoffs. They lost a competitive game to 11th seeded Villanova in the first round of the FCS playoffs, 22-17. They played Mississippi State on the road. They lost 56-7. And then week 2, they played at Western Kentucky, and they lost 31-0. So against non-FBS opponents last year, they went 8-3, which is pretty good. The only other thing that I really know about EKU is their head coach, Matt Wells, is very, very well liked. He suffered I think a heart attack 2 years ago, right before the start of the season. Was very scary. Thankfully, an assistant just so happened to be walking by his office and saw what was going on. If that hadn't happened, he probably would have died. So he started the 2023 season, I think, a little bit delayed, and then came back to the team. But he's a guy who, at least around the state, from folks that I know that work in football, they seem to really like him. And that's about all I got when it comes to EKU. Like I said, we'll talk more about the actual team itself as we get deeper into the week. And basically when Keith Wynn starts writing some stuff that I can read and just poach off of. They've got a number of players from the city of Louisville, as they always do. We can discuss that. We just met, I think, Cortez Stone, we talked about him last week from Central, the running back that we had recruited for a while, is on that team. Vito Tisdale, was on the team, I know last year. I think he's still on the team this year, a player that we really wanted out of high school and ended up going to Kentucky, had some issues there. He now plays for EKU. So there's some legitimate FBS talent on this roster, but certainly.
Their starting back's a dog. Joshua Carter.
Is he from here?
No, but he had a great year last year.
Okay.
And he came back, so expect him to have another big year this year.
I don't see him on the roster.
He's on there. I just saw him.
I believe you. Like we said, we'll get more into EKU as we get closer to kickoff. But we have an opening line, Roman, for this game. We have a spread. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
What do you guess it is?
28.5.
More.
36.5.
It's not enough. More.
39.5.
All over it. 38.5 is the line as of right now. I saw it open unofficially somewhere on one of the gambling apps at like 40.5 on Saturday. Vegas Insider has 3 different sites right now giving a line on this game. Most sites aren't. A lot of sites won't give a line on an FBS versus FCS game. But as of right now, 3 different sites have it at 38.5. I'm good with that. I mean, that feels about right. Gambling on power conference versus FCS opponents is always a tough go just because, how much does the Power 5 team really want to go full bore in week 1? Do they get up big early and kind of take their foot off the gas? There are way too many intangibles, I feel like, to gamble. Having said that, if you just want to go off of what Jeff Brom has done in this spot the last couple of years, the best bet may be over under number of quarterbacks that see the field because he's played, I think, a total of 17 quarterbacks in his week 1 game over the last 2 seasons. Last year we beat Austin Peay 62-0. There was no mercy there. The year before we played, it was actually week 2, but we played Murray State and we beat them 56-0. So in 2 years of 2 FCS opponents, 2 Louisville football teams have won by a combined 108-0 in their games against FCS squads. It's got to give you some confidence. It also now sets the stage for if we go out there and we only win 40-14, people are going to freak out a little bit. People are going to say, what's wrong with this team? But that's okay. High bar, we're good to go. If I asked you right now, Roman, 5 days away from kickoff, don't think about the rest of the season. Just think about Saturday. What's the single thing that you're the most intrigued / excited to see when we get our first glimpse of this Louisville football team on Saturday?
Isaac Brown and Duke Watson.
Okay.
I want to see what they do. I want to see how. I mean, you're probably only going to get an accurate, I guess, like first half of what the carries are going to look like.
Ideally, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, really not. I mean, if we go up big in the first quarter, I want to see all 4 backs getting even carries throughout that game just to see what they all look like going up against the defense that we think is going to look like one that can't really stop the run game.
Uh-huh.
I'm just excited to see how they look a year into the system, a year of getting bigger, getting stronger, getting faster, and that's because that's what we've been hearing about the 2 of them. I'm really excited to see what they look like. This is also going to be a fully healthy Colin Lacey that's had a full offseason with us to prepare and get ready as a more vocal point player in the offense now. So I really want to see what he looks like in the pass game, if we can make that happen as well. Excited to see if Chris Bell's kept his improvement, kept on that path that he's been on as well. And then, of course, I hate to just give a whole bunch of answers to this question. Is are we going to see broken coverages? Like, I don't want to see any let-ups in the pass game on defense, on the defensive side. I don't want to see any broken coverages. That's kind of all I'm asking for.
I mean, a lot of people will say going into your week 1 game, if it's against your FCS opponent, well, we can't really judge too much from this. And I sort of have always disagreed. Obviously, if you win a game 62-0 like we did last year, it's no guarantee that you're going to go out there and go 10-2 or 11-1 or win a national title or whatever you want to say. But I do feel like a lot of times the takeaways from that first game, regardless of the level of opponent, are solid indicators of things to come. I mean, I remember
last year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember coming on the air last year after the Austin Peay game and saying, I know they plan to redshirt him, but if I didn't know any better, I would say Duke Watson looks pretty damn good out there. You know, he got in at the end of that game. He was unstoppable. He was untouchable. And I just remember coming in here, we were having the conversation on the show. I was like, he runs awfully hard. Like, that burst is very impressive. I guess maybe he's just not ready, or they're going to hold him back. And sure enough, as the season went on, it was very apparent that he needed to see the field more. And I think also right away, we recognized after that first game that the talk about Isaac Brown being a guy that Brom and company couldn't afford to keep off the field in his true freshman season was very legitimate. Tyler Shuck threw a great deep ball. You could take a lot away. Now, the performance of the defense wasn't necessarily indicative of what we were going to see. However, we did come on here and talk about issues with communication, issues with penalties, stuff that needed to be cleaned up, and that was definitely a sign of things to come over those first 5-6 games, and unfortunately it didn't get cleaned up enough for it not to cost us a couple of losses. But I feel like I have this conversation every year going into the first game. Whether you win by a lot, lose by a lot, win by a little, lose by a little, everyone will come on and say, you know, it's just one game, we got to move on. If you go back and look at the history of Louisville football, at least the recent history of Louisville football, more times than not, the way the first game has gone has been pretty indicative of the way the rest of the season is going to go. There are always exceptions, but for the most part, when you've been very content or even pleased with the way that the team has played in week one, it's usually a sign that things are going to go pretty well for the entire year. If it doesn't matter, you know, even if you win by a lot over an FCS team or a Group of 5 team, but you feel like things were a little bit, not clean, not great. There was some stuff that really legitimately concerns me. Usually that stuff rears its head at some point in the season. And if you go out there and you get your ass kicked, most times for us, that's been a sign that we're going to get our ass kicked the entire season. Certainly it was the case, you know, losing to when we got blasted by Ole Miss in a year where we thought we were going to be top 25 good. We ended up going 6-6 that year. Coming back and showing hard against Georgia Tech and Brom's season was a nice sign of things to come. And I think last year's game, for the most part, was a sign of things to come. I wanted to talk, before we get into Jeff Brom's comments from today, I thought it was extremely interesting. Eric Crawford went back and he found a copy of the Courier-Journal he thought it was his first season. It turns out his first season was the year before. But going into 2001 with John L. Smith, Louisville was, I don't know how much people remember this, Kentucky wanted to play the game. There was some back and forth between Louisville and Kentucky. Kentucky wanted to have they didn't want anybody to have an advantage. We scheduled what was essentially a week 0 game against New Mexico State it was a Thursday night game. It was like August 24th or something like that. It was super early in the calendar year. And it was basically so we could have an exhibition game, like a warm-up game before we played Kentucky. And the quotes from the story are incredible. And this isn't just a Jeff Brom thing. Everybody plays everything so close to the vest when it comes to their media interactions. Nobody wants to say the wrong thing. Everybody's kind of buttoned up. There are certain coaches that will get a little bit loose. But for the most part, at this level, you're not going to have anybody come out and tell it the way that it is. Roman, I want you to listen to these quotes from John L. Smith, the head coach, talking about playing New Mexico State in week 1 and not talking about Kentucky. First of all, he just comes out and says, they asked, does it feel different not playing, not getting ready for UK? And he goes, definitely, you get up more for the Kentucky game than you get up for this game. And then he goes on to say, this is ... a first game, and that alone is a big motivator. Our guys are looking forward to it, but I think the motivation is that they're tired of each other and everyone's excited for the first game. I haven't heard a lot of talk about Kentucky from our guys. Kentucky may be in the back of our mind, but the main thing is we're looking forward to getting out and playing somebody besides each other. We're not overly hyped up for this, but we'll be cranked up and ready to go. I mean, just straight up says it, and then says this later on in the story. This is Tuesday before a Thursday night game. He said, as hard as these guys worked in the offseason, you hate to see them go to the practice field and waste a practice. As a coach, you hate to see guys go through the motions, and we've been doing a little bit of that this week. But I think our leadership will get tested in the next couple of days, and between our juniors and seniors and the coaches, we'll get them up. You want them excited but focused. I think we'll be there. I mean, you don't hear that level of honesty anywhere in college football now.
we'll be there.
I mean,
crazy.
it's the whole thing is insane. He's just straight up saying, like, we're not overly hyped.
We're kind of going through the motions.
We're going through the motions in practice.
Hopefully the coaches and seniors can get us together. I think we'll be good.
Can you imagine? I mean, we're playing an FCS team this week. Can you imagine Jeff Brom saying anything remotely close to that?
Not even a little bit.
The sad thing is we all say that we want more honesty in sports from the athletes, and I'm reading that and I'm like, oh God, like even if Jeff feels that way, and even if the players feel that way, and there's got to be at least a little bit of that, right?
A little bit.
You don't want to hear it as a fan. Like I'm just imagining if Jeff Brom came out and said the exact same thing about EKU today and said, it's not Kentucky, it's not an ACC game. We're obviously not overly hyped. It's a week 1 game, I guess, whatever. We would spend 3 hours on the radio today talking about how concerning that was, And for all the talk about how we want honesty, we want people to just tell it like it is. You don't at a certain point as a fan. You want to be lied to a little bit, or you want to genuinely believe that we take every opponent the same way. The old Pat Kelsey rhetoric of the next thing's the most important thing. Like, you want your players, your coaches to have that mentality. And in 2001, John L. Smith was absolutely not trying to hide anything, which is just like, I read that and I was like, oh my God. Because, Eric was talking about, he's got a good story on WDRB today about how different everything is in week 1 than it was 25 years ago. And you would probably sue Jeff for defamation today. It was insane. Which, by the way, if you're wondering how that went, was that a sign of bad things to come? They beat New Mexico State 45-24, and then a week later destroyed Kentucky and Lexington 36-10. They ended up, having a very successful 2001 season. Won Conference USA, beat BYU in the Liberty Bowl. First, kind of semi-major bowl victory that the team had since 1993. So it was a very, very good season, and then it opened the door for one more good year. The next year we beat Florida State. John L. eventually left for Michigan State, and we brought in Bobby Petrino the year later. But yeah, that team, if you were at all saying, well, that's terrible form, clearly we had a bunch of immature kids and a coach who wasn't ready, we went 11-2 that year and won the conference. John L. knew what he was doing. To a degree, for sure. At least in those years, he definitely did. But now you juxtapose that with Jeff Brom today getting on the mic and talking about EKU. And look, we're going to read some of the comments. It went exactly the way that you thought it was going to go. He said, we have an opponent from right up the road in EKU. They had a successful last year, 6-2 in their conference, went to the playoffs. Coach Walt Wells has done a really good job with that football team. They play football the right way. They're fundamentally sound. They'll come in here hungry and ready to go. So we've got to come out swinging and play our best football. I feel like we've practiced very well to this point, and we're in a good position to go out there and show up on game day to play a good brand of football. That's a little bit different than we've been going through the motions, and yeah, we're not overly hyped up for this team that we're going to play. Which, keep in mind, New Mexico State was a much better opponent back then than EKU should be going into this game. He talks about the running backs and says, good things about Isaac and Duke. Says, mentions Kewan Brown by name and says, whatever our team's doing, the running backs are going to dictate what we're going to do more of. But without question, Isaac's going to get plenty of touches no matter who we play. He'll get a chance to show what he's all about. I think he's at a good camp. He's dynamic with the ball in his hands. We'd be foolish not to make sure that he gets enough touches no matter who we play. I feel confident we'll be able to do a lot of different ways, and he'll be playing good football for us.
That's good to hear.
I mean, it'd be what if we found out 5 days before kickoff? He's 55 pounds overweight. We're
struggling getting him locked in.
His 40 time is down by a solid 2.3 seconds. We're a little bit worried. I mean, these quotes are just, again, and I, as a fan, as a radio show host, would I love to have more spice? Sure. As a fan, do I want this to be the case? Yes. I don't need to hear anything that I don't need to hear. But he's asked about the expectations from the defense after a up and down, to put it mildly, 2024. He says we want to perform on defense, as opposed to coaches who are like, we don't want to be good on defense. And I feel like we're very capable. We've had a good spring, summer, and fall, and I want to see that on the field. I think there's been a lot of hard work put into figuring out how we can get better. How can we eliminate big pass plays? Blah, 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 la, 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 la. Those are all things that have to show up and happen. I think we've made progress, but still we can't have a couple of costly miscues that end up hurting us, so we've got to go prove it on the field. Again, he's not saying anything that's wrong. This is all entirely accurate. It's just super boring. Boring's fine. I'm good with it as a fan that wants the best for the program. As a radio show host, would I love him taking shots at EKU? Sure. Would I love him giving us just a little bit more information?
Yes.
Yes, but look, it ain't going to happen. We can criticize him for this if we lose 6 games this year, but until then, what he's done so far has worked pretty well. He's asked about Miller Moss. He's done everything that I've wanted him to. For example, before I came down here, today was our Players' Day Off. Now, this is a little anecdote. This was our Players' Day Off, and he's over here getting an extra work and stopping by to see us. He's going to do everything he can to perform well. We know what he needs to continue to work on, and we've worked hard at it. We've worked on going out there and having poised command of the huddle, command of that position, and being able to make good decisions, pass the ball accurately. When those things don't happen in rhythm, find a way to make a play, or at least do not do something negatively like an interception or a fumble. We're working on all those things. It's a position you just have to continue to work hard at. Don't ever think you've arrived. Something new will come up, and how you handle that will determine the type of success that you have. But he's done a great job at this point, and I'm looking forward to him having a great year. Jeff never says anything explicitly, or rarely does. But occasionally you can find repeat points of emphasis, or at least points of mention, that can give some insight into maybe some of the stuff that's happened behind closed doors. He continues when Miller Moss comes up to emphasize making the right decisions when things go wrong. And it was an issue for him at USC last year when he had a clean pocket, pretty damn good. We saw what he could do against us in the Holiday Bowl a couple of years ago. When plays broke down, or when the first couple of reads were covered well, that's when he got into trouble. Tried to do a little bit too much, or tried to force the ball into a place where it just couldn't go, and that led to a ton of interceptions. It led to a ton of miscues, and it was probably the primary reason why he wound up getting benched at the end of the year. Jeff keeps saying, I mean, it's clear to me, or at least I'm inferring, that they've seen similar things at times over the past couple of months, where he's got a great grasp of the offense, he's making the right throws at the right times, but when protection breaks down a little bit, or when Chris Bell's not open on his first read, and he has to scramble out of the pocket or step up in the pocket, he's maybe trying to do a little bit too much. And he's got to get to a point where it's, hey, a 2-yard gain, if you take off and get as much as you can, isn't the worst thing in the world. A 2-yard loss isn't the worst thing in the world. An incomplete pass a lot of times isn't the worst thing in the world. And that, I think, is going to be something that you can keep an eye out for in these early weeks against teams that we're expected to beat relatively handily, is when a play does sort of get out of rhythm, can he make the right decision consistently? Because if he should be able to put up numbers on Saturday against EKU. But if on the rare occasion he's pressured, he makes a terrible decision and throws the ball up for grabs or throws it right to an EKU player, that's something that we can look at and say, well, boy, it's time to address that right now, because that could cost us dearly.
And I've got the interception number bold take, Mike.
What'd you go with?
That he might have, he could potentially have more than Tyler Shuck and Jack Plummer had.
Look, he might. I mean,
that 13 range. You know?
If you're trying to feel better about what we're talking about right now, this was also a point of emphasis for Tyler Shuck last year. Remember, even when he was healthy at Oregon and Texas Tech, there was talk about tried to do a little bit too much, threw too many interceptions, was a little bit too turnover prone. And for the most part last year, he was incredibly good with the ball in his hands as far as taking care of it. He had a couple of, his first, I think, 3 interceptions, none of them were his fault. One was a Hail Mary at the end of a half. 2 were drop passes that went right to the defense. He had the bad fumble against Notre Dame. But I think he only threw 5 interceptions the entire year. And that's, you'll take that. You're going to have picks. It's going to happen. You're going to have situations where you just sort of have to throw balls up for grabs occasionally. But for the most part, Tyler was very, very good at making decisions. And that was something that was a little bit of a red flag coming into his Louisville tenure. Now you've got the same thing with Miller Moss. Hopefully, he follows what Tyler was able to do and does take care of the ball well. The good thing is, if he makes those types of bad decisions, like, that's one thing where Jeff will just absolutely rip your ass apart. Like you'll see him on the sidelines just going ballistic, and hopefully that's an effective deterrent to if it happens once, it's not going to happen again moving forward.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
He had 9 games last year.
It wasn't good. Like, he made significant mistakes. He made a lot of bad decisions, especially when didn't have a clean pocket, didn't have a wide open guy. He struggled a little bit there. Now, the last thing that was notable where Jeff was willing to take a stance on something, he was asked about the shifting landscape of the ACC moving forward and the likelihood now of the conference moving to a 9-game conference schedule. And he said, I'm 100% for it. He said he's been wanting it to happen for a number of years, and it goes hand in hand with a stance that he reiterated again today, which is that he wants to play nothing but power conference opponents. He doesn't want he hates these games. He hates the EKU games of the world. He doesn't like the Bowling Green games. I'm sure he can get the team fired up for James Madison, but he wants a big-time opponent every single week. That's the Jeff Brom mentality. He don't want to duck any smoke. So he's saying, cool, 9 conference games, great. Let's keep the Kentucky game, and let's schedule 2 more power conference opponents. Obviously, that's not entirely up to us. The other sides have to agree to play. But Jeff Brom, big fan of the 9-game conference schedule and not afraid to say it. Roman, are you coming around on the 9-game conference schedule?
I'm with it, Mike. I'm all for the 9-game conference schedule. I think those 3 conference games, they'll become more important, and they need to be picked wisely. And I'm with him. They need to be 3 good teams, I think.
As long as they can figure out the math, as long as we can get those smart schools to figure out how to get 17 teams to play a 9-game conference schedule, I'm good with it. Last thing on the Brom front for today. He was asked about the third wide receiver position, which, by the way, if we do have a depth chart that gets released at some point during the show, let the text line know. Roman will keep an eye out for that. But as of right now, we don't know who that third starting wide receiver is going to be. We assume it'll be Antonio Meeks, but we'll say. Brom was asked about this and said, Chris Bell and Colin Lacey are our 2 most experienced guys. They've got to show up and perform. I think they've done outstanding at this point. But the first guy that he mentions when it comes to the third wide receiver, Roman, he said this. Trayshawn Hurry is a newcomer that has really stood out and has done a really good job. So him and Antonio Meeks will be at the other position and rotating in there quite a bit. Dakari Collins is another addition that has stepped up. He's got the size that the other guys don't and can really do some good things. We've got some other newcomers. Chris Hughes, who was here last year, that needs to make big plays. Terrence McWilliams. I think that room will get plenty of action. Experience is good, and they've got to continue to show out. The newcomers have to get on the game field and produce, know the call and execute and do all the small things as well. He has not talked about Bobby Golden at all, which just leads me to believe that Golden, for whatever reason, is kind of in the doghouse. And, it was sort of, this is how I felt about Jaleel Skinner last year at the tight end position. He just never got mentioned and didn't play the entire year. So I don't know if we're going to see much of Bobby Golden, who was expected to be a big-time portal addition. But, Roman, your guy, you've been calling Trayshawn Hurry's shot for the last several months. He gets first mention.
He does, Mike. This is interesting. I think that him getting first mention, that means he's the first player that popped into Jeff's head, which means he's definitely been making big plays. One thing I think, based on what we saw in the pass game last year, and then even more so with the tight ends, especially after Jamar Johnson went down, I don't think the wide receiver 3 spot or the tight end spot is going to be someone that is set in stone. Like, I think it's going to be whoever's each game is going. Whoever's kind of feeling that defense the best and is finding the most open pockets and getting open the most every game is going to be who gets more snaps later on in that game. I think they're going to kind of feel it out each game, and whoever takes advantage of their matchups the best is going to be who gets that role, and it might be changing every couple of games, I feel like, just between Antonio Meeks and Trayshawn Hurry, and maybe Bobby Golden does find room or improve, showcases things in practices that give him the opportunity to get some in-game reps. I think that it's kind of going to be one of those things that rotates throughout the year between Trayshawn Hurry, Dakari Collins, Antonio Meeks, and it's kind of going to be a thing that the fan base has differing opinions on who deserves to be in that wide receiver 3 spot. I feel like we're going to often see different fans calling for one of those 3 names throughout the end of the season to step up.
Yeah, I mean, he straight up says, essentially, week 1, we're rotating Hurry and Meeks at the 3rd wide receiver position. They're going to get about equal reps. And it sort of leads me to believe whoever plays the best out of those guys, whoever steps up the most, they kind of get the upper hand for getting more PT against James Madison in week 2, which is a pretty large step up in competition. So, I don't think the wide receiver rotations are going to be set in stone or anything until we probably get to the end of month 1 and we start playing Virginia and Pitt and get going in conference play. But it sounds like both those guys have stood out and they're both competing. I think he loves giving hard workers that have been in the program for multiple years an opportunity, and that's certainly the case with Antonio Meeks. But we'll see. I'm excited to see Dakari Collins out there. I think he's a guy that could help us out. And I'm really excited to see how we rotate the tight ends starting on Saturday. So good stuff there. We have a little bit of breaking news that we're going to have to get to after the break. Roman, the men's basketball non-conference schedule set. We got a schedule for 2025, 2026. We're going to get to that after the break, and then we'll turn things over to you guys on the Game Day Men's Health text line. It's the Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show. It's rolling along here on 1450 and 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Hit me with the, ooh, there it is. We have breaking news. The 2025-2026 Louisville men's basketball non-conference schedule is officially set for the upcoming season. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, Mike.
Are you sure you're ready?
I'm sure I'm ready.
Okay. We already knew this, but the season will begin, unofficially, October 24th when Kansas will come to town for an exhibition game at the KFC Yum Center. 4 days later, October 28th, Bucknell will play the second exhibition game also at the KFC Yum Center. The season will start. I told you this was going to happen. Listen to the Rutherford Show. We got this covered. November 3rd, opening night in college basketball, Louisville will take on South Carolina State in their first game of the season. I was waiting for something. Thoughts on South Carolina State, which went 20-13 in the MEAC last season, lost in the MEAC Conference Tournament Championship game. Thoughts on, first of all, South Carolina State mascot. Do you know it?
It's a rabbit.
No. One hint. It's a very common mascot.
A eagle.
Oh, Bulldogs.
Oh, duh.
Orangeburg, South Carolina. Thoughts on South Carolina State as the opening night opponent?
Cards by 35. Michael Brown, 20 points, 8 assists. Isaac Neely, 5 3-pointers made. This is an on-the-fruit double-double.
So here's why I think I don't know how much we looked into stuff like this when it came to scheduling opponents. But one thing that I do love about this game, SC State plays up tempo. We may go out there and score 130 points in this game. This is a great opportunity to put up some head-turning numbers in night one. Now, game two, we knew they were going to play a game on November 6th. I don't know if the show influenced this, Roman.
You know it did.
But I kept saying, my de facto team, when I'm looking for a generic, not great opponent, I always go with Jackson State. And last week I was talking about, we've got one game left on the schedule. I think it'll be a bye game. We're not shelling out a ton of money for bye games for obvious reasons, so you're not going to get, Missouri Valley, Mid-American type talent, but you can get the Jackson States of the world. And that's exactly who we're going to get. Jackson State, November 6th. They are your second game of the season. They're one of those teams that plays a ridiculous away schedule to start their non-con. They essentially fund their entire athletic program.
Yeah, they're chasing that bag in the non-con.
They are. And they also they play in the SWAC. They made the SWAC Conference Tournament Championship game last year, lost to Alabama State, 60-56. But, Roman, they started last season on November 4th. They played on the road. Listen to this. Just some of the teams. Houston, Xavier, Vandy, Kentucky, Iowa State, St. Louis. The season started on November 4th. They played their first home game on January 4th. They don't play home games in the non-conference. They fund their entire athletic program with road games. So obviously they jumped at the opportunity to play Louisville. So there it is, November 6th. And that will be
They didn't win a single game, did they?
No. They did not win a single game until they got to conference play. And in conference play, they went 14-4.
Wow.
So good SWAC team, but they weren't competitive in most of those games.
Maybe this pays off after a couple years, though, a few years.
Could be. Houston beat them 97-40 on opening night last year. Vandy did. They played Vandy to 94-81. That was probably their best. Kentucky beat them 108-59. That will be, of course, the final tune-up before Louisville takes on Kentucky at home November 11th. What do we think about I'll say this. I feel like playing very subpar competition. I mean, these are teams that you would expect to be kind of in the 200s on KenPom before you play UK. I think this would be a much bigger topic of discussion if we didn't have the exhibition game against Kansas and then the one against Bucknell, primarily the one against Kansas. Is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. We wouldn't feel battle-tested.
Kentucky,
even a little bit.
Because I think Kentucky's schedule is pretty similar. They play like two nobodies before they play us. I don't know if they're better or worse. They've got Nichols and Valpo. So Valpo a little bit of a step up compared to the other three teams we're talking about. But they also get the Purdue exhibition same night that we're playing Kansas. And there are other exhibition games against Georgetown, which is also a power conference team. So we're in pretty similar boats. Now, they are playing their 2 games before they play us a day later. They'll play November 4th and November 7th. So they'll have one less day of prep. We'll be one day fresher for that game. After Kentucky, when we'll hopefully be 3-0, Louisville will host Ohio on November 15th. First road game of the season, technically a neutral court, but we're going to Cincinnati to play Cincinnati, so call that what it is. November 21st, we'll take on the Bearcats in Cincinnati. November 24th, that's the day before Thanksgiving. Little Eastern Michigan action at home. And then day after Thanksgiving, NJIT, the Highlanders, come to town. After this is where it really picks up. I mean, listen to these 4 consecutive games in December.
Got to win these.
4 straight games in December. December 3rd at Arkansas. December 6th, Indiana in Indianapolis. A week later, December 13th, Memphis State at home. And then December 16th at Tennessee. So you get at Arkansas, Indiana, basically on the road, Memphis at home, at Tennessee in the span of 13 days. That's a crucial stretch. I do like, though, the way that this non-conference schedule is lined up because you're getting, I think the most difficult stretch isn't the first 2 weeks. It's those first 2 weeks of December. Because so you've got a little bit of confidence under your belt. You've got a little bit of knowing the best ways to utilize these lineups. You've got some experience going into these 4 games against what should be 4 pretty good teams. And then we end the non-conference schedule. We'll play Montana on December 20th. That'll be the last game before we get into ACC play. But we do have that one middle of ACC season game against Baylor, which will be Valentine's Day against the Bears. Fort Worth, Texas. We'll take on Scott Drew and company. It's set now. The non-conference schedule is in stone. Start planning your schedules accordingly. Roman, I can't wait.
I can't wait, Mike. I'm excited. This is, like you just said, it's hard to make it perfect, but you do see the opponents. I think you want to see the kind of games you want to play before you do go into that 4-game stretch in December. And I think, getting Arkansas and Tennessee at home or getting Arkansas and Tennessee on the road is going to be tough, but the amount of home games you've got to figure things out, work out how you want to attack different play styles, it's good. I think it's really the kind of non-conference schedule you need with the potential for the ACC to look not what we want it to look like.
We talked about this last week, but the difference between this non-conference schedule and most of the ones that we've played over dating back to when Patino was here is it's not just the 7 power conference opponents. It's that the non-power conference teams that we're playing are projected to be really bad. Typically, you want to game the computer numbers. You don't want to play teams that are down there in the low 200s, maybe the early 300s. But like I said last week, my understanding is everybody's trying to find new ways to save money for obvious reasons now in this revenue sharing era. And one of the ways that Louisville can save a little bit of money is, let's just say, these aren't actual numbers, but let's say it costs you $300,000 for a bye game against a mid-major team that's projected to finish at or near the top of its conference standing. Charleston, College of Charleston. Louisville might say, well, we're not going to pay. We would rather save $200K or $175K and give South Carolina State $125,000 to play a bye game. They'll do it for less. They want the experience. They'll take less money. That's why you're seeing SC State, Jackson State, Eastern Michigan, NJIT. Montana's typically a very good team in the Big Sky. They're more of a 150 range. But we're playing a bunch of teams that have the potential to really kind of hurt our computer numbers. That puts even more pressure on you to perform in the non-conference portion of the season against the teams that are the big dogs on that schedule. You don't have to beat everybody. But we can't have a non-conference run like we had last year where the non-conference opponents that we played who all were in the NCAA tournament, we lost all of them. Now, we beat West Virginia and Indiana, who just missed out on the tournament. But at the end of the day, we didn't do enough, and that was a reason why we could go 18-2 in the ACC and not be better than an 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. If you go out there and let's say, we beat Kentucky, but we lose to Cincinnati, Arkansas, Indiana, Memphis, and Tennessee, you've got to be damn near perfect again in the ACC in order just to make the NCAA tournament, even if Kentucky winds up being really good. So we've got, there will be pressure on this team from start to finish, regardless of how the rest of the conference fares in its non-conference portion of the season. But overall, I get why we're doing what we're doing. I love the schedule. I mean, that stretch to begin December is outrageous. And then in November, you've got games against Kentucky and Cincinnati to really get you going. And hell, I mean, everyone's going to be very excited about that Kansas game at the end of October as well. So, bam. Man. Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Cannot wait. Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. Reminder, Game Day Men's Health, they are redefining men's wellness with no shortcuts, just results. We're talking testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today if you need help in any of these areas. They've got you covered. They are defining a new era in men's wellness. Let's take a text. Let's get it going. We'll take a few here before we have to break, and then we'll get back to you guys to kick off the 4 o'clock hour. Texter says, listening to the replay from Friday, my best friend did a combined bachelorette party in Vegas. Ended up working out pretty good. Friend groups overlap with a lot of couples that are all friends. They ended up doing a couple nights where the guys and girls went and did their own thing, and then a couple of nights together again. Like I said, if that's what makes you feel the most comfortable, more power to you. I just couldn't imagine doing it. Not because there's anything overly sordid going on. It's just, you know how it is. Like, it's as simple as you talk a little differently with your guys when the girls are around.
Yeah.
You know?
Like everybody has to like everybody in that scenario too. That was possible.
Even if they do, I want a little bit of separation for that night. Like, I feel like Mary's bachelorette party and my bachelor party, you had a lot of overlapping couples, a lot of overlapping friend groups. Everybody would get along well. I just wouldn't want to do it. Just wouldn't want to do it. But if you do, more power to you. Little Dumper texted in, said, Romans, I've got a proposition for you. Once your knee is 100%, 3 sports, basketball game to 12 by 1s and 2s, golf 18 holes, and a PK shootout in soccer. Best 2 out of 3. If I win, you have to change my name from Little Dumper.
You'd have to win all 3.
We don't know who this is. This could be Chris Redmond for all we know. This could be, somebody who's super athletic.
No, I saw a picture of the Little Dumper.
You've seen Little Dumper?
He's a little bit taller than me, probably a little bit heavier than me. Not in bad shape or anything, but definitely a bigger body than me.
I feel like golf.
If he's never golfed, I've got the advantage.
Right, but if he has, if he's even moderately okay, you're done. Basketball. I've got no idea. Basketball's the wild card because I assume you should win PK shootout in soccer.
Yeah, especially if we're the goalies and this isn't a soccer player. I feel like I've got the instinctual to a non-soccer player PK I should be able to save.
Yeah.
12 by 1s and 2s. If this player doesn't have a jumper and I'm 100% confident in my knee, I feel like I've got to. I don't know what my first step's going to look like at all when this knee gets healthy. So that's kind of like my saving grace on the basketball court these days. Playing with guys, skilled better than me. I've got the first step. I can typically get to that shoulder distance past them and make the right play. But if I don't have that, if Little Dumper can stay in front of me, that might be a long game.
It's all going to come down to basketball.
It is.
That's what it would come down to. Would you be? I don't know if I've got to sign off on this too.
I know, and that's my thing is that I don't know if winning 2 out of 3 earns you a name change.
I'll beat Little Dumper in putt-putt. It'll come if you beat Roman in those 3, you got to go head-to-head with me in putt-putt.
Fair.
Fern Creek putt-putt for the Dumper nickname. Texas, hey,
and
Mike.
That's just to remove the little.
That's you can.
By the way, you're going to have to change your adjective you want.
Golfer Dumper. Putt-putt Dumper.
Winning Dumper.
Winner Dumper. Texas, hey, Mike, could you refresh my memory and mention the power conference teams that had an open date out of conference this year but declined to play us? I think it's convenient the first year the ACC does this ratings equal more revenue thing that Clemson and Florida State get prime spots on free broadcast TV. This kind of stuff is why the rest of the ACC shouldn't have given them bleep. It was Ole Miss and it was Tennessee who both wound up with open dates this year, who, according to both parties, I think Tennessee and Ole Miss have confirmed this. Louisville reached out to them. They said thanks but no thanks. I believe it was Tennessee that signed a contract with Wake Forest? Because I know Wake Forest bought out of their Ole Miss deal. And then Ole Miss played. They both ended up playing lesser programs. And Jeff Brom, who, like I said, is very, very much a play these types of things close to the vest guy. You know it pissed him off when he came out there and said publicly, yeah, like we tried to schedule those guys, they wouldn't play us. So it's important to have all of our ducks in a row because this is an easy shot to call. We go out there, we beat the first 3 games, win the first 3 games that we're supposed to win against the non-conference opponents. And then let's say we beat Pitt on the road to kick off conference play. We're right there outside the top 25. A number of teams in front of us are going to lose games. We're probably going to rise into the top 25 without having played anybody. And at that point, especially let's say we beat Virginia to start October, we could be up there around like 16, 17, 18. And going into that Miami game, we're going to start to get more people are going to start looking at us and saying, well, they haven't played anybody. Like, what the hell is this? Like, we need to stop making fun of Indiana and start making fun of Louisville, especially if Kentucky is sucking at this point. They could say, this is the worst non-conference schedule I've ever seen. You've got to stop rewarding this, and we will have to come out and say, Indiana paid us 7 figures not to play this year. We tried to replace them with Ole Miss. We tried to replace them with Tennessee. We tried to replace them with other programs. Nobody of any sort of note wanted to play us. We did all we could. Next year, we're scheduled to play Georgia. Year after that, scheduled to play Georgia. The 2 years after that, we're scheduled to play Texas A&M. And then after that, we got Notre Dame on the schedule. What do you want us to do? This is not our fault. But like, I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a thing where people are like, Jeff Brom's a coward. Look at Louisville. And we're going to get all upset. We're going to have our ammo ready.
They might be ready.
Weaponize yourself. Get ready to go. We may be fighting the good fight that first week of October. Texas says, Riddler here. I was on the fence internally this entire weekend about if the mayor going on KSR to announce that he's exploring how to work with U of L to bring back the banner or not satisfies my threat of a rant for today's show against Josh Hurd. I decided that it wasn't enough to completely ward off a partial rant. Mike, I rely on you to relay the message. Josh, you absolute coward. I can't believe of how much of a slam dunk case that this has become, and yet you continue to cower in fear to the NCAA. Never mind the fact the banner was lost at the time in 2015 when your title was U of L. At U of L was assistant athletic director for championships, where this was literally your job if you did your title. That's not what that means, first of all, Riddler. He's covering events. Never mind the fact that your predecessors Vince Tyre and Tom Jurich have the wherewithal to come out publicly to proclaim that the banner needs to go up. And never mind the fact that the NCAA is owing $1 billion in court cases. Clean up your mess, sack up, and sue the pants off the NCAA. We need a leader with vision. Press conference tomorrow. Go Cards. Get me in the SEC or Big Ten after this year, and I'll get off your back. The Riddler's high demands for Josh Hurd know no bounds as they continue on. Speaking of continuing on, we'll continue on with the Game Day Men's Health text line after the break. 502-414-1450. Keep it locked right here. 4 o'clock hour is up next. We'll take more of your thoughts after the break. The Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X. care of business. Don't know the other words. Taking care of business. 4 o'clock hour of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Football season, it's here. By the way, the ACC being, right when we said we're finally going to be rah-rah ACC people, Stanford goes 0-1 and loses to Hawaii. Damn it, Cardinal. Come on. But this is the big week for the ACC. A lot of high-profile matchups, not necessarily for us, but for the rest of the conference. Big-time opportunity for the league to go out there and establish itself as more than just roadkill for the SEC and the Big Ten. We're going to have to get it done. Athlon, by the way, they ranked all 91 college football games for week 1. And, okay, where would you guess Louisville EKU is? 91 games, college football, first week of the season. Where do you think Louisville versus Eastern Kentucky is?
75th.
See, this is what I would have said. I was thinking the exact same thing. It's got Louisville against EKU, 45th.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, this is also that they've got a lot of, like, FBS, like, low-level group of 5 teams playing FCS opponents. So there are some, like, Lamar at North Texas is 73. VMI at Navy is 74. What's the worst game of week 1? Bryant at New Mexico State is the 91st best game of week 1, according to these rankings. They said about, quick little sentence, they said, why you should watch? It's the first look at USC transfer Miller Moss, a quarterback for Louisville. The play of Moss looms large for the Cardinals' hopes of contending for the ACC title. So there's some intrigue there. In case you were wondering, top 10 games of week 1. Number 1, should be no surprise, Texas at Ohio State. The reigning national champs hosting the preseason number 1 team in the country. That's about as big as it gets for a week 1 game. I mean, noon kickoff is ridiculous, but thank you, Fox. Number 2, LSU at Clemson. Big-time opportunity for the ACC. Number 3 is also a big-time opportunity for the ACC. Notre Dame at Miami. If we're talking about the conference, if you are going to make the case that we're clearly the 3rd best conference and that we're within striking distance of the other 2 leagues, you got to win at least one of these games, right?
Definitely.
You can't have your top 2 teams and 2 of your biggest brands go down in week 1. Especially one of those games is a true home game for Miami, and Clemson should have a healthy attendance. I guess that's a true home game for Clemson as well. Both those games are being played on the team's home field. You got to win one of those 2. Number 4, also featuring an ACC team playing at home, Alabama at Florida State. That one I've got a little bit less faith in for our guys. 5, Auburn at Baylor. 6, Boise State at South Florida. This is where things go a little bit south. 7, South Carolina at Virginia Tech. Another big spot for the ACC. 8, another big spot for the ACC. Georgia Tech at Colorado. 9, another big spot for the ACC. TCU at North Carolina. And then 10, Utah at UCLA. So I believe that's 6 out of the top 10 games in college football for week 1. Featuring a team from the ACC. You got to take care of business. You got to handle business in week 1. This is a huge deal for the entire conference. What happens in late August, early September can have a dramatic impact on what may or may not happen in mid-December when we get to the playoff time and bowl time and all that good stuff. Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. We'll get back to you now. How's our guy Rio doing? How's our Atherton Ravens soccer team doing?
Doing good. He's got 3 games this week because they had missed 2 of the first 4 games from weather, so they got one rescheduled this week. Home game Wednesday. We'll be on the PA call. Excited to see what he does this week.
Who are we playing?
Oh,
we got to know these things.
I think this
is our team.
One of those county schools.
They're playing tonight, Roman. They're at Oldham County.
Yeah.
Their makeup game.
County.
Oh, North Oldham beat them 8-0 on Friday.
Yeah. They've got another game Wednesday and Thursday, I believe.
When I asked you how they were doing, that was kind of need to know information there. Our state title hit, that run just took a hit there.
They can get it back.
I may have to show up for that one. It's go time.
I'm excited.
All right. Texter says, I can't believe the average college football expert sat down and ranked both Iowa State and Kansas State over Louisville. Those teams are both cheeks. Turnover city. When you watched that, when you saw that on Saturday, did you have the same thought? Because I saw a lot of Louisville fans saying this.
I mean, Kansas State looked bad.
I'm trying not to rush to judgment. both those teams should have good. I mean, keep in mind they're playing against power conference defenses. Teams look a little bit rough around the edges in week 0 a lot of the time, week 1 a lot of the time. So I was trying not to do that. But my initial thought was the exact same as everybody else, where I'm like, if these guys are 22-17, like maybe we should be preseason top 20. I'll reserve that judgment until I actually go out there and see us play a game. But remember when we were talking about the great Jack? This has become like my hottest take, that Jack Plummer, who was third team All ACC and won 10 games, was average. like somehow that's become my hottest take on the radio. People are like, he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen. And I'm always like, watch more games out there. Like, that's kind of how I felt watching Iowa State versus Kansas State. Like, there are quarterbacks out there that lead very good teams that don't make the 10-yard wide open slant over the middle of the field throw 80% of the time. You know, you watch those guys, there are extreme limitations on both those offenses. Part of that's the sloppy field, part of that's going up against good defenses. But yeah, it was a fun but gross start to the college football season. Texas, hey, Mark and Bloman. I feel like nobody's called you Bloman recently.
It has been a minute because I'm 29-19 here in August.
No excuse to. Did you follow my advice from Friday on the text line and bet your Big X paychecks on Kansas minus 13?
I did text her. Meant to mention you in the show, but we forgot.
I believe he also said take the under on Fresno State over-under for the season. I didn't do that. I bet on a little bit of horse racing this weekend, which did not go well. I did not put any money in the DraftKings or whichever one I have. I think I don't even know which one it is. I think it's FanDuel. DraftKings. Never mind. I'm sorry. If they want to sponsor us, let us know. Actually, I'm not going to say which one I have. If they want to give us some money, they can. I did not put any money in the account. If I would have bet Iowa State money line, but I also didn't feel confident enough about anything in week 0 to really put some money on that. But you were right about Kansas Fresno State. No question about that.
Producer Keith was right about Idaho State covering as well.
I saw that he was thumping his chest about that on Twitter. He said he told you that one about Idaho State covering against UNLV. I saw that it was like a close game into the fourth quarter.
Yeah. They had a chance to win.
I think we both said over in Western Kentucky, Sam Houston, and that hit as well.
Yep.
Everything we said on Friday's show was true. Everything. Boom. Texture says, let me start this out by saying I love Josh Hurd. Oh, God. But what would cement him in as an all-time AD would be if he got the commissioner of the NCAA into Louisville and walked him around the city on a leash like a dog in his underwear while the city publicly shamed him audibly like on Game of Thrones. Then we restored the banner and threw him in a boat and sent him down the Ohio back to wherever he came from. I like that this is the bar for Josh Hurd now. Anything less, and we got some doubts about you. Who would have thought, we're so excited about this entire athletic season, and it's the Monday of the first week of the football year, and we're sitting here talking about what Josh Hurd needs to do to satisfy us as a fan base. So it's not just get the banner back up. We need the president of the NCAA walked around on a leash like a dog in his underwear in order for Josh Hurd to hit maximum approval rating in the city. Look, we're a high-profile fan base with high-profile demands. That's who we are. That's what we do. Texas Lazard guy here. What's up, Lazard guy? Watch the ACC football road trip show over the weekend. Coach Brom once again hyped up the defense and highlighted the newcomers as playmakers. Week 1 is here, and I'm feeling good. I don't know if he's doing this sort of like the thing when we were talking about earlier in the show, looking at his comments. I don't know if this is done with intent, but with the way that he's talked about the defense, in particular the last 2 weeks or so, he's essentially left Ron English no wiggle room, you know? He's out here saying, from what I've seen with my eyes, and I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of football talent, we've got the guys on defense to be good. He's pointed to the defensive line specifically multiple times now with public comments about how good they look. He always adds in, they got to go out there and prove it on the field. He's talked about the secondary looking improved. The linebackers are basically everybody back from last season. Without directly saying it, his message to this entire fan base for the last couple of weeks has been, if the defense goes out there and stinks, we're going to have to go get a new defensive coordinator because we've got the guys to be good this year. Is that kind of what you're saying, Roman?
It's exactly what I'm saying. It's what it was last year, Mike.
The fan base is on edge when it comes to English and with the defense, so much so that, let's say Saturday we kick off to EKU and they score on the first series. The reaction amongst the fans, both in and out of the stadium, is going to be visceral. Hell, if they score when it's 35-0, the reaction amongst the fan base is going to be visceral. Everybody wants Ron English to be the guy. I think we just need a prove-it year from start to finish. It can't be you don't have to be pristine every single game, but it's got to be competent football on that side of the ball. You've got to have far fewer breakdowns, far fewer communication issues, and far fewer games that you look at and say, man, if the defense had just been average, we would have won this game. And unfortunately, that's been the case too many times over the last couple of years, specifically last year. Texture says, I watched the Hawaii-Stanford game, and I said to myself, these teams are trash, and Louisville would blast both of them by 40.
I hope so.
I said, how the hell did we lose to these guys last year? But not in those words. That was my thought. Doing this rah-rah ACC thing is going to be so difficult for me because I found myself flipping that game on periodically. I watched most of the fourth quarter. And you've got Hawaii out there. They're playing in front of their home crowd in basically a high school stadium. Hawaii sports fans, this is their thing. This is their pro sports team, essentially. This is what they've got. And they hadn't beaten a power conference opponent in 3 years or something like that. And I'm finding myself rooting for Hawaii as the game goes on. They're lining up for that last thing. Did you hear the story about the kicker?
No.
So the Hawaii kicker, his background, I need a 40 for 40 on this guy. He is from Japan. He was working as a waiter, saw an NFL game on television, decided that he was really into it, took a trip to the United States, watched an NFL game there, got very into it. He learned how to kick field goals on YouTube. And learned on YouTube, went to a random junior college in Ohio that I've never heard of. I feel like I know most schools in Ohio, but he basically just was like, I'll go anywhere. I just want to kick and play football. He gets a scholarship to Hawaii and kicks the game-winning field goal in their first game of his first game with the Rainbow Warriors. It's insane.
That's ridiculous.
How can you not root for that guy to hit it? I was going for him.
He's on a mission, Mike. He's going to the NFL.
He's 20 years old. And he's done all this in the last 2 years. Had never kicked a football before 2 years ago. Learned from YouTube. Incredible.
Saw it on TV and he liked it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. It's nuts. And I'm supposed to root against that because I want Stanford to be 4-8 instead of 3-9 this year to make the ACC a modicum better. No, I can't do it. Can't do it at all. I don't like it. I'm gonna be flipping on. I'm just not gonna be able to watch LSU Clemson this weekend because Clemson's gonna be doing cool stuff, and I'll be like, yeah, get him, Clemson, and they're gonna show Dabo on the sidelines. I'm gonna throw up, and I'm gonna wish that they were down 45-7. I can't watch the game.
You can watch it.
I feel like you're
Mike, you know you've got to root for the ACC.
You've been the worst influence on me when it comes to this.
We need them to win these games.
I know. It doesn't mean that I have to like it. Texas, Stanford sucks so much. How on earth did Louisville lose to them?
We can't have another stinker this year, Mike. It has to end.
No, of that magnitude especially. The Pitt game on the road 2 years ago was one thing. That was a bad Pitt team. We were only, I think, 8-point favorites in that game. We were like 24-point favorites last year against Stanford. That is, I'm not going to reel off the list off the top of my head. We don't need to do this exercise. But without thinking about it too much, I don't think there's any doubt that's one of the 10 worst losses in my lifetime as a Louisville football fan. You just, I know that we don't make the playoff in all likelihood if we win that game. But we would have finished just outside the top 12. We probably would have been, if we won the bowl game like we did, we probably are a top 15 team at the end of the year. I mean, that's not even taking into account the financial burden that came with losing that game. It cost us $1.8 million, which was the bonus we would have gotten for finishing in the final top 25 of the College Football Playoff. And I think it would have been more if we had finished in the top 15. So, and the team sucked. Like, they were terrible, and we still had to find ways to give it to them at the end of the fourth quarter, despite playing as badly as we did for 3.5 quarters. Texture says, please include the CCBM during the intro to your show. This is the TV thing. I don't even know how this is going to work. We're going to be on TV starting in 8 days, Roman.
I'm going to figure that out, try to see what I can figure out about that tonight. I'll be in the studio late tonight with Trey, so see if I can get some details.
Every time I put out, like I put out the tweet today just letting people know who don't listen to the show every single day, saying, we're going to be on WBNA Channel 21 starting next week. Every single person looks at that and sees WNBA. They're like, "Oh, you're going to be on after the WNBA?" Like, no, it's the WNBA. The WNBA doesn't have their own channel. This is WBNA. That league is terrible branding luck for our buddies over there at the WB, that's also, they say don't call you that anymore. Producer Keith texted me and said, if it makes you feel better, Stanford lost almost every player worth a damn on their roster. The only good player left is Ford. It doesn't, because they sucked last year too, and they beat us. So I still I just feel bad about something else now that you say that. Texture says, this is the year, fellas. Shuck is going to start and have a good year. Lamar is winning MVP and Super Bowl MVP. The Cards are making the playoff, and UK is winning 3 games. We just have to believe. Roman, give me your thoughts on Tyler Shuck over the weekend. Looked good from what I saw in the Saints' final preseason tune-up.
He did, Mike. He looked good. The pocket awareness was great. He went through his progression. I think this was like his best game of just going through the progressions and finding the right read just about every time. He wasn't as accurate as I would want him to be. I think I counted 2 overthrows that he should have put those in the receiver's hand. Couple other overthrows that just, he was trying to put it in a tough spot. Not really many options to go to. And finally, just where I kind of conclude, Mike, is that Rattler hasn't shown anything that Tyler hasn't showed, and Tyler hasn't shown that he's going to be more prone to mistakes than Rattler is. So with that being said, you take your 40th overall pick and you start him, because if he's even with the guy who's already played NFL games, then take the younger guy who's got a higher ceiling at this point.
I like that they asked Tyler after
not younger, less experienced. Sorry.
Right. I like that they asked Tyler right after the game, do you think that you've done enough? And he was like, yeah. He straight up says, he's like, I think I'm ready. Let's go. I think I've done what I needed to do. I'm ready to take the reins. Like, the kid is not lacking in confidence. He made a couple of really good throws and then had the run-in touchdown where he made the point as he was running in. Looked good to me. People are still out there just looking for, anytime he does anything, like, oh, this is trash. Like, I can't believe. Now, it's quieted down a little bit with the great Shedeur Sanders controversy of, is he just not good, or is this team purposely trying to sabotage him? Which some of the takes that are out there, man, are, I knew this was going to be a thing after the draft where he was getting a ton of attention. Roman, it's monumental. It's like the most talked about thing in sports over the weekend was him going 3 of 6 with 5 sacks, and whose fault it was, and, whether the Browns are purposely trying to make an example. Some of the takes out there are just absolutely wild, and it does. People are like, this is like the Tim Tebow thing 15 years ago. Is your group chat firing off about Shedeur?
A little bit. More so, though, like we're having this back and forth on arguing about the takes last year. The chat was really divided last year on Shedeur being better than Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, and just where the 3 quarterbacks kind of stand and where we think they are going into the NFL. That's kind of been more so just, well, you weren't saying this last year, or you weren't saying this. You were saying that Jackson Dart was better than Shedeur. You were saying this, and that's kind of been more so the conversation. I think that there's been a little bit of talk about the Saint stuff, but we've got 2 Saint fans in the chat, so we're quick to defend. So there hasn't been too much negative Tyler talk, but more so just talk about us all having different takes and opinions on what the 3 quarterbacks were this time last year more so.
Gotcha. Okay. Texture says, Uh, absolutely abysmal take by Roman to kick off Christmas week. SMH. The very next one, Roman Hater, said, Roman gave in to seeing weapons. Mike stands strong and don't watch Better Call Saul. It's the most overrated show ever.
I'd give Weapons 3 stars out of 5.
That's not terrible. You told me don't even bother.
Yeah, it's
Knock
not
it down to 2.5.
2.5, I guess. It's not really worth it. You're not going to go have an amazing experience.
So, quick update on our front. Mary has officially punted on Snowfall.
No.
Yeah, so now it's a solo project. Now it's just more stuff that I've got to watch on my own.
Now you kind of get to binge it, though, right?
Yeah, but we're watching. We started this show Hostage on Netflix together, which is so far. I think we're 2 episodes in. It's dumb fun. I'm enjoying it. It's keeping my attention. I love Julie Delpy. She's the French president. It's so far it's so good. I'm enjoying it. But now, we're trying to go to sleep a little bit earlier because kids have to get up earlier. It's school season. We're doing that. So like we're not staying up watching TV together downstairs past midnight anymore. So she goes up. We've got in the bed. She's kind of like sleeps. She gets Virginia to sleep. I get John to sleep, and we end up kind of staying there on most nights. So we go upstairs early, and now I'm watching Snowfall, and which first of all, like it's this weird dynamic of my 3-year-old son's in bed next to me, and I'm like last night Leon got shot. Roman, it was bad. Quick spoiler. Leon got, and I'm watching this stuff happen. I'm like, no, and like I've got a 3-year-old infant in front of me. It's this like shooting is happening on the show, but like I don't want to go to sleep. Like I think I ended up watching an episode and a half last night, and I look over, I'm like, oh my god, it's 1:00. This is terrible. And now there's like I need to go upstairs, take care of whatever phone stuff I need to set up for the morning. Watch my little Instagram.
But you got to see what happens with Leon.
But now I've got to watch the show, and it's cutting into my time. So, yeah,
I think I liked it so much because it's unpredictable like that.
I've really enjoyed the show. So I think I'm 10 episodes in now, the first season. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not slowing down anytime soon, but it's going to cut into my sleep, I feel like. I needed her to stick this thing out, and she didn't have it in her.
Well, your sleep's about to get cut into anyway.
I know. I don't get much to begin with. Texture says, jumping back to the best college football tailgates discussion from Friday's show, Mike, did it slip your memory, or were you deliberately not including Dayton Flyers football tailgates outside of Welcome Stadium? They were can't miss. They were terrible. There was nothing good about it. I did not. So, okay, I hated the Dayton football team when I was going to Dayton. The Dayton football, it was a bunch of, so high school football in Ohio is a huge deal, right? So you've got a lot of guys that were getting a lot of attention, playing at the Elders, the Molars of the world, who thought, still in their mind, they're big-time football players. But they weren't good enough to play at Ohio State or Ohio U or anywhere else, so they end up playing at the FCS level at Dayton. But they carry themselves around campus like they're Ohio State football players, when the reality is nobody at Dayton gave 2 bleeps about football, at least when I was there. It's a basketball school. Basketball players are the stars. But they would do stuff, like they would go to parties and they would like play tackle football in the middle of the street, and everyone's like, yeah, nobody thinks you're cool. So like I think I actively rooted against the Dayton football team while I was going to school there. The stadium, I think they've renovated it since then, but it was this just gigantic AstroTurf, like whatever, in the middle, like away from campus. It's right there off the exit when you get off the highway. There was nothing cool about Dayton football games when I was going there. Maybe it's improved since then, but when I was going there, it was not fun. Texas, also, I'm not super mad at Roman's take. Movies don't have to be for everyone, but at least it tried doing something original.
Yeah.
I feel like recent horror movies that have done well are trying to be original rather than being something contrived / a remake. That's true. I need to get my sister is the horror movie connoisseur. I gotta be careful how I say that. Her and her boyfriend run the Gore Club. They do scary movies for a living. They've got their own podcast. She runs through every Halloween, every October. She does her 100 scariest movies of all time. And I have not talked to her about this, if she's seen this or what she's thinking. I think she saw it in theaters already, and I haven't gotten her full take on it. So, hit up Katie. She would know. Texas, Roman should have gone to see K-pop Demon Hunters. Was a blast to see in the theater.
I've heard good things about it.
It's a kids movie. It's like, so my kids are big into zombies right now. At least Virginia. Virginia runs the show. But K-pop Demon Hunters is kind of the same thing, where it's geared to kids, and the music is apparently very catchy. I'm legitimately saving K-pop Demon Hunters for when the zombies and Wicked phase sort of slows down a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, here's something else you can just listen to and get excited about. Or for a day when she's just beyond saving. Virginia does this thing now when she gets tired or hungry, where she just, it's so frustrating as a parent, but she just chooses to be miserable. You know, she'll, like yesterday, we have 3 slides in our backyard, and she's scared of going down the tunnel slide. It's big, it's whatever. We've lived in this house for almost a year. She refuses to do it. And so she was saying, well, there are bugs in there, there's spiders in there, there could be bees in there. And so I went down the tunnel slide. I was like, there's nothing in there. You're good to go. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But if you want to, there's no excuse not to. And she just like starts like crying, and she's like, I want it. She's like, you guys don't love me. Like, just like immediately takes it to the most extreme place of all time. And it just drives me crazy because I'm like, no. You cannot project on me. You're too young to be projecting. You can't get mad at me because you're mad at yourself for not doing this thing yet. And she does it all the time. She is going to be an absolute bear when she becomes a teenager. And I don't know how it's going to work. But she's awfully fun. She's very talented. Texter says, the season starts on Saturday, and you go on TV next week. Very exciting. Hope you guys have started your transformation today if you needed testosterone therapy or weight loss. I've not had dessert after dinner, not including Saturday at Jack Fry's. 4 straight days, Roman. Is my TV cut, my TV shed.
Going on a TV shed.
We're going on a TV shed. Dropping that weight.
Got to get all my shirts together.
I know I got to figure out wardrobe at this point. Like, I'm wearing.
You got to show that hat collection off, Mike.
I do.
You got a lot of hats, but you do this thing where you wear like one hat for 3 weeks straight.
Well, I do the same thing with like shoes. Like if it's like shoes or shorts too. The only thing that changes the shirt, like I will rock it for like a week and a half straight and not really think about it just because it's like laying out there. But I need to. I mean, we also have to be cognizant. Like, it's a game week Monday.
I got a Chucky Hepburn jersey.
I'm right. See, I've got like a blue pullover hoodie on. You can't do that when the cameras are on.
No.
I'm outing myself right now. I should be wearing U of L stuff today.
It's red every day once these cameras are on.
It's got to be. Texas, we'll take one more. I'm starting my 4th year as an undercover Louisville fan who goes to UK. And as I was walking through the student center today, I looked up and saw none other than the dual threat Cutter Boley. I have to say, this guy looks like he could win the Heisman and break every single passing record this year. I don't like that you're an undercover Louisville fan. I think you just need to show that thing proudly. There are UK fans that are proud to go to U of L. I don't know if it's changed, how much it's changed since I was in college, but most of my closest U of L fan friends went to UK. And I think football was different then because we were very good during those years, with the exception of our senior year was our senior year was the Orange Bowl year, 06. So, and UK was not. So my friends would wear like Mario Aruya jerseys through campus, and they would get more like positive comments than anything else. Now the rivalry took a step up, I think, when John Calipari got hired, and then the advent of the social media and the sports blogosphere has definitely heightened things up. So maybe you couldn't get away with it now. But if we're rolling, if Louisville gets into a top 15 position this football season and UK stinks, you got to start rocking that football jersey with pride. Every week. You're a 4th year, for God's sake. They should respect you in Lexington. It's time to show it off.
I know a lot of people who have done the Louisville fan down at UK and then the UK fan that's going to U of L.
Yeah, I mean, I think it works a lot.
I don't know if I could have done it.
So my grandfather, my late grandfather, John Ed Pierce, when I was in high school, like my grandpa, he's a very, very good rider. He was not overly involved in my life. I'll say that. He was not. I don't think he was a great rider. Apparently a good person. Maybe not a great dad or not a big family man. But when I was in high school, he reached out to my mom and was like, wouldn't mind helping out with college at some point. And he was big in the journalism program at UK. Was a big UK fan, and he basically was like, I'll pay for his education if he wants to go to UK. And I was like, I'm not going to UK. It meant that much to me. Even if I'd stayed in state and I ended up finishing in state, I just didn't want to go to Kentucky. I know I had a lot of friends going there. I liked spending the weekends there. When I was in college, it was always a good time. I just did not want to go to school there for primarily sports reasons. And I didn't. It would have been tough. I feel very passionately about my love of Louisville over my love of Lexington.
Still remember my first time on that campus, Mike.
What about it?
I knew right then.
Wasn't for you?
It wasn't for me. Never needed to come back. It was Men of Quality. You don't know if your program existed when you were in high school.
No.
I thought it was a public school program, but I used to hear that like Trinity and St. X, they had it as well. It's like a unwritten African-American man program at school, but there was no rules on that. I think by my senior, I started my sophomore year, and by senior year, we had a couple white guys in there. It's just this kind of a in-school, during-school program. You get out of school once a month in the middle of the class. They come, different coaches. They bring people in. They bring speakers in, talk to you about what life is like after high school, and then go into kind of details of just financial stuff, kind of stuff you really couldn't get in any class at this time. I think nowadays they finally have some better financial classes and stuff. And they used to take us on trips, like college visits at different schools, and that's a full day field trip. So that was kind of, we went on a WKU trip, Louisville trip, UK trip, Bellarmine trip, and I knew right then that day on that trip to UK I was never going to come back. I ended up having to go back for some work stuff for that sports book thing, but that was to make money, so it was all right. I don't like it though. Nothing good about that campus. It's just a weird, eerie feeling. I don't even feel safe down there.
I like it. I enjoy your initial feeling of just ick. It's good. Texter, he said, Mike, in this current instance I was undercover, I announced my fandom as my favorite thing during class introduction. Sorry, that was poor wording on my part. Well done. It's a badge of pride. Wear it strongly. You're doing the Lord's work over there in that city.
Be careful.
But be careful. I got thrown out of a frat party there once for trying to fight Shigari Aline. It's a true story. It was a bad night on my part. I still feel bad about it, but it happened. Let's go to break. We have an hour left in the show. We'll come back. I've got a couple things that we didn't get a chance to get to in the first hour that we'll talk about. We'll get back to you guys in the Game Day Men's Health text line. We'll look ahead to Monday night in sports. We'll make some, I think, we do Big X Big Bets here?
Oh, yeah, we'll have to get them out because we got
Dalton.
Show. Yep.
Okay. We'll have Big X Big Bets as well. It's all coming your way in hour number 3. Keep it locked right here. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical on the Big X. of the Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical. But fear not, Monday, best day of the week for Big X listeners who just so happen to be Fighting Cardinals of University of Louisville fans. We've got 5 straight hours of Louisville sports talk today because we got Dalton Pence coming in here at 5:30. Producer Matt will be in here as well. And those two and Roman Kelly will take it from 5:30 till 7. So you get Roman starting off at 2. Our show here from 2:30 to 5:30, and then Mondays with Dalton Pence from 5:30 to 7. Who's got it better than us? It's going to be the best Mondays of the year right here on 1450 The Big X. I also want to remind you guys, if you've been hurt in an accident or on the job, the Collier Law Firm's got your back. Not your wallet. Tony Collier and the crew, they make it a point to have their attorney fees start at just 25% because they know that big firms out there, if you go to them, they're going to make you sign a contract that's going to put 45, 50, 55% of your recovery money into their pockets. They don't want that at the Collier Law Firm. They want more money for you, more money for your recovery, more of a chance for you to get back on your feet. Call the Collier Law Firm today at 502-736-8141. You can also visit them online at collierlawfirm.com, COLYER lawfirm.com. Collier Law Firm, proud sponsor this year of the Jeff Brom Radio Show, which kicks off Wednesday night from 7 to 8 over on our sister station 970 WGTK. Hurt in an accident, hurt on the job. Collier Law Firm. All right, a couple things that we have not had a chance to get to so far today before we go back to you guys on the text line. One, very, very solid opening week for a number of U of L football recruits from the class of 2026. Briggs Cherry played well, helped lead his school to a 56-17 rout. Karsten Bush and Marlon Harbin over there at St. X, they helped the Tigers get off to a great start. No issues with Owensboro, 38-7, which, by the way, in case you're wondering, former U of L commit Evan Hampton, remember that guy? Not a great night against the Tigers. Didn't rush for much. Didn't do much. Not great. Enjoy him over at Vandy. That's okay. We're not calling out kids. We're just saying. We're reeling off numbers here. But there were a couple of players that had gigantic nights in week 1. One of them is actually a guy who opened his season 2 weeks ago, Lakai Tompkins, who's playing at IMG Academy. He, in week 1, I don't even remember who they played. They rolled all over him. He had 3 touchdowns in the first half and then got a chance to spend the second half on the sidelines. Now, IMG had a nationally televised game against with the old reality MTV football show Two-A-Days.
No, I'm not.
That's fine. It was when I was in college, I think was when the show aired. It was a reality show / kind of like a social, like a teen drama about high school football players who played at Hoover High School in Alabama, which is like at the time at least, national powerhouse, the biggest program in that state. They ended up, they kind of took a step back because the show shed light on the head coach who ended up he had like 2 different families, and it went poorly for Russ Probst after that. But they're still a very good football program. They took on IMG Academy on national TV over the weekend. IMG rolled to a 34-13 victory, and Lakai Tompkins was the star of the night. He had 3 touchdowns. What was the final stats in the game? He had 3 touchdowns. is all I've got here. Was fantastic. Once again, though, he's getting a number of schools that are still like they're trying to recruit him actively, and the biggest one right now is Colorado. Deion Sanders is putting the full court press on Lakai Tompkins. He said that he plans on taking a visit there. It is going to be all hands deck for U of L to keep him as a Cardinal by the time we get to National Signing Day. That recruitment definitely does not seem like it's over, but he's off to a fantastic start in his senior year. 3 rushing touchdowns. 1 was for 60 yards. It doesn't have the full stats there, but you can find the highlight over there on the Rivals high school page. The other player who had a gigantic week, we've talked a lot about tight ends, Julius Miles, who is playing for, what's his high school? They were playing against Panama City North Bay Haven Academy this past Friday, whatever school he plays for. 7 catches, Roman, 166 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Plays for Freeport.
Thank you. Freeport High School. Currently ranks as the number 23 tight end in the state, in the country, according to Rivals, the number 59 overall prospect in the state, according to Rivals. 6'6", 210, was phenomenal last year, and now is off to a hell of a start in his senior season. Both those guys.
Game breaker.
Big-time performances to kick off their high school years. We'll keep you updated, hopefully with more accurate numbers and accurate facts there with our prospects in the weeks to come. But shout out to everybody who's going to U of L, who kicked off their season on the right note. There was a tweet today that came out. So apparently, Vangelis Zugris of the men's basketball team, he played for the Greek national team during their build-up to the Eurobasket tournament.
Yep.
Got hurt the last go-round.
Sprained an ankle, right?
He ultimately did not get selected for the final Greek national roster, which I'm fine with. Like I said after the last Michael Brown camp, it's the focus for everybody needs to be on U of L at this point. We're trying to win a national title. Let's get this going. But he didn't make the cut. But he clearly has won over the hearts of a lot of people at the center of Greek basketball. Vasilis Spanoulis, who I guess runs the entire show there. He's a Greek basketball legend. He was asked about Zugris not making the final cut for the team, and he said this: "He has made tremendous progress. He's a kid who will be around for many years, and at some point, he might even become the captain of the national team." It's high praise, Roman.
That is high praise.
Sounds like a, I don't know, glue guy, Roman?
Kind of guy you won your franchise.
Little culture guy.
Go to war for you.
Go to war for you. Have blood pouring down his face. I love everything about Zugris. I cannot wait to see him actually play. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Also, we got to give shouts out to the men's and women's U of L soccer teams. They both rolled, not just last Thursday, but over the weekend. The women's team took on Wright State yesterday, rolled to a 7-2 victory. They're now 3-1 on the young season. The men's soccer team, which blasted Southern Indiana 6-0 in their season opener, they're going to play on the road tonight against UAB. 8 o'clock is the kickoff. I think you can find it on the Watch ESPN app. They're looking to move to 2-0 on the young season. And then we have to give a shout-out to Racing Louisville, which is having, without question, its best season in its young franchise history. They went on the road and upset the San Diego Wave in SoCal yesterday. 1-0 was the final score. They now have set a new franchise record for wins in a season. They are 4 points clear in their quest to make the playoffs in the NWSL for the first time ever. They will play on Friday night. No conflict with U of L football. They will play on Friday night against, who is it? Somebody. If you want tickets to that 7:30 kickoff, I can tell you what time it is. Go to loucity.com/cardchronicle. I know it's Racing Louisville, but still, loucity.com/cardchronicle. Houston Dash is the team that they're playing. 6 o'clock happy hour, $2 drinks then. Support Racing Louisville as they make their playoff push. They're having a fantastic season, so is Lou City. Soccer is booming around here. Lou City, Racing Louisville, U of L men, U of L women, Rio and Atherton soccer. It's all happening right now. Roman Kelly doing announcing. We're feeling good right now, Roman.
Feeling great, Mike.
We're feeling great. Also, shout out to the volleyball team. They took out the Alumni All-Star team on Saturday in their final preseason tune-up. They will kick off their 2025 season on Friday. The Cardinal Classic is going down. They'll have a couple of matches this weekend. I watched a little bit because there was nothing else on TV on Sunday of the Nebraska. They were playing the AVCA, kickoff classic that we've played a couple of times. I see why people are saying that Nebraska, it'll be almost a disaster if they don't win the national title in Danny's first season. They are ridiculously good. They blasted Pitt on Friday, and then I think Pitt also lost to Florida. So Pitt, who is number 3 in the preseason poll, they're now off to an 0-2 start. Nebraska won both of its matches with relative ease. They destroyed Wisconsin. They destroyed Pitt. They look like the team to beat, but don't be surprised if the next time a national poll comes out, if we've moved up from number 4 to number 3, despite having never played a match. Dream scenario, Roman, is we're spending December having beaten Kentucky in men's and women's basketball, beaten Kentucky in football, getting ready for the playoff in football, getting ready for a Final Four push in basketball, and then about to beat Nebraska and our old coach for a volleyball national title. I need it.
I'd be extremely chesty, Mike.
This is what dreams are made of. Dreams are also made of the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. We'll take a couple of you guys before we get to our final break. Texter says, and we have a lot of texts. I did not realize how many we had. Boxcar Bob said, okay, seriously, you all need to do a 30-minute post-game show for a UK football loss as the Cutter Boys. It would be hilarious and accurate.
Could do that.
Give him a chance, Mark. They ain't giving him a chance, Bush. Bush Hamden out there. He's calling run plays for Cutter. Also says, Roman, I wish fancy cocktail bars in town had cocktails for only $13. I was thrilled that my cocktail was only $16.
Yeah, I don't even know the prices these days. I don't attend those kind of places anymore, Mike.
It was a nice little, I enjoyed the locale. Nice little oaky smell when you walked in. Mary rocked the crystal margarita. Had a couple of them. Delicious. I can't remember the name of the drink that I got, but it was very good. Texture says, catching up on last Friday's podcast, and I have to ask, does U of L have a pronunciation guide for the men's basketball roster yet? It's driving me nuts not knowing if Adrian Woolley's last name is pronounced like Woolly Mammoth or like Min Woo Lee. It's Woolley. Roman says it one way, Mike another. It's Adrian Woolley.
I like Woolley.
Well, I mean, you can like whatever you want. I mean, they're like, we still haven't gotten 100% confirmation on Zugris' first name. I'm pretty sure it's Vangelis is what I've been told, but we don't have Vangelis. We don't have the pronunciation guide just yet. We don't have the media guide yet. We should be getting with all the football newcomers pretty soon. Texture said, I'm going to be disappointed if Miller sees the field in the second half on Saturday. I won't be as long as it's just for one drive in the third quarter. I feel like that's what we've done. You know, we've blown these guys out. I say these guys. We've blown our FCS opponent out the last 2 years. And if my memory serves me correct, I think that both Shuck and Plummer played like the first series of the third quarter, and then they were done. And then the backups, the two primary backups both got multiple series. And then the fourth quarter, we just started rotating guys. Like, we rotated plays the last couple of series, the last years with the walk-ons. My hope is that it's the same thing this year. Texture also says, Paul Rogers was on this morning and basically said Shuck was better at everything compared to Moss. I mean, that's not necessarily a huge surprise. He was a top 40 NFL draft pick. Miller Moss can be really good for us this year and still be worse than Tyler Shuck in every department, as long as it's mildly worse. And I think there are going to be areas where he's going to be better.
Like what, Mike? Hate to put you on the spot, but
I think he'll be better at on a third and short when we call a run play or a pass play. I mean,
just going to get it if he needs to.
Just putting his nose down and going for it.
Okay.
Shuck would do it occasionally, but you could tell he was very much he didn't want to get hit. Didn't want to get. I feel like Moss is gonna he's willing to risk it all every time he's out there. Am I a little bit concerned about? Sure. You can go back. We don't need to say it, but when the season ended and the Miller Moss rumors kicked off right away, I think you and I both were kind of like, I was not a big fan of us going after Miller Moss, but Jeff, I'll say the same thing I said at the time. Until Jeff gives me a reason to doubt anything about him when it comes to quarterbacks, I've got complete trust. If he saw something in Miller Moss that says this kid's got everything that I need in a quarterback to run this offense, then his track record speaks for itself. I'll trust Jeff and Brian when it comes to quarterback play until they give any of us a reason not to trust them. Texture says, happy game week, fellas. You guys started the show today sounding like the Clippers GM from the press conference where he introduced Kawhi Leonard and Paul George to the team. I have these notes, but I got to say I'm just fired up to be here today. Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. Worth the watch if you haven't seen it. Roman, I assume you're familiar with this clip.
Yes.
Ballmer's an absolute animal. He's an animal.
He loves the Clippers.
My favorite,
And the more GMs need to be like that.
my favorite Ballmer clip of all time. It gets shared. I see it like once every few months.
In-game celebration.
No. The video of all the nerds when they announced the unveiling of Microsoft Windows like 4.0, whatever it was. They're all dancing. Like Bill Gates is doing the awkward clapping, and Ballmer's the guy out there who's like just like fist pumping and like screaming and going nuts. He's the only guy who looks somewhat, I don't even want to say normal, but he's an animal. He's a gigantic animal. Texter says, how do I keep losing? I don't know how these messages keep getting read. Is it the game day, men's health?
Yeah,
the
probably one
response.
of the response days.
There it is. Texter says, CFB here. I can hear your oh God, not this guy now. Yeah, and it's justified because suck it, Mike. The Cubs are with it. You're not winning the Central. I've already told you this. While the Reds are life and death to avoid getting swept by a seller at the deadline, we don't get swept. We do not get swept. You can go ahead and tell your boys you told them so on catching the Cubs because that's a pipe dream now, buddy. But it's a football season, so I'm sure we won't be talking about the Reds much longer. I mean, we're a game and a half back. I've got no faith in the Reds. The Reds stink. I don't, yeah. The Diamondbacks could not have cared less in that series, and we only won one game. But we won't get swept. We refuse to get swept. Texas Tampa card here. What week do we break into the top 25 in football, and do we remain there for the rest of the season?
No. Break it after the fourth game.
I think we break in after week 2. I think there'll be enough chaos in front of us, and James Madison is just enough of a legitimate. If we win both games convincingly, I think we'll creep up there in like 25-24. And if not, then it'll be, we get Bowling Green, then we have a bye week. It'll happen at some point there just because teams in front of us will lose, and that's the way these things work. All right, we got to go to break. We'll come back. Final segment of the show is up next. We'll run through the text line. We'll get some big X, big bets, and then we'll hand things over to Dalton Pence and Company. It's the Mike Rutherford Show presented by United Mechanical. We're wrapping it up next here on 1450 The Big X. Monday edition of the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Final segment of the first week of the season. I'm here. Roman Kelly's here. We're raring to go. The people are demanding to know what Roman Kelly thinks about Tommy Fleetwood winning the Tour Championship.
Finally got him one, huh?
You're feeling good about it. They also want to know.
He's a serial loser, Mike. He finally won.
By the way, I found out over the weekend, not that there's anything good or bad about this. Tommy he's married to someone 20 years older than he is.
Older?
Yeah. Not typically the age disparity that you hear about when it comes to professional athletes on the male side. But yeah, he's got a stepson that's like his age, basically. It's like now that he's won the Tour Championship, maybe that changes. Nah, we're just joking. We're just joking. Who would you take? Who's the odd man out in your Ryder Cup selections, Roman?
23 years older than him.
23?
Yes. She's 57. He's 34.
That's nuts.
I mean, she doesn't look 57, but.
Well, yeah. He's still a pro golfer. Who are you cutting? Colin Morikawa, Sam Burns, Ben Griffin. Who's the odd man out?
Sam Burns is out.
I think Morikawa should be out. I also think he's kind of a douche. But if they cut Ben Griffin, I'm going to be pissed. But now, we got a captain who's going to pick himself for the team. Probably should, but we'll see what happens. That has been your golf update. Keegan Bradley, it's on you. 502-414-1450, Game Day Men's Health text line. In all seriousness, we got a lot of texts to get to. We're going to rip through these bad boys, and then we're going to make sure that Roman gets those Big X, big bets out. I mean, we're 6 strong days. I guess technically we're just 5 strong days because we're only going to do it through this week. For you finishing with your best Big X, big bet months of Big X, big bet month of all time.
We are, Mike. Got to have a nice week here. Got to keep the positive hot plays going up.
We're also, quick programming note, we're at Lenny's Lounge on Thursday, so we'll be out there for that if you want to stop by and see us. And then Friday's the Big X Golf Scramble, but it's early this year. 7:30 is the start time. I'm not used to getting up that early and doing anything, let alone playing golf. But we'll be doing the show. We will not be doing our show at the Scramble because Scoots is so selfish. He has to take the equipment with him to call high school football. So we'll be back here for the Friday show, which I kind of like that because we'll have our standard music rotation. We'll get to be ourselves. It's harder to do when we're on remote, Roman.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 502-414-1450. Texture says, Lions fan John, hey, Mike, are you aware that you will now share a TV screen with Steve Bannon? No. I know that you guys were talking about it last week, but what an opportunity for you guys to get some firsthand knowledge on how to plan a January 6th in the Yum. I had no idea. I don't know what else is on WBNA these years, but okay. That's okay. Whatever. Dave, teacher from Jeffersonville, said I sold a book to the mayor Jeff Gahan of the Big X commercial fame. Nice guy. I also had an incident with a thorn bush. Ouch. Anyway, now I'm sick. The back to school illness got me. This sucks. At least I can hear Roman's wildly incorrect take on weapons.
Didn't love it.
Dave's calling you out. Oh, God. TJ just sent me a picture. He's got like a busted thumb.
He broke it playing basketball last night.
Okay, the Big X curse is becoming more
It's
and
real.
more.
It's
This is
true.
more. This is also a hit to the golf team.
It's his left thumb, but I don't know, actually, which is worse?
Yeah, I mean,
right-handed.
they're both pretty bad. That's you got to have thumbs to play golf. This is, I mean, Roush is going to have. I know we're not getting much from Scoots. Roush is going to have to. Roush is very hit or miss. Usually waits for the back nine. We're going to have him bring it from the top, or else we're going to lose to Spears' team 2 years in a row, and I can't have that. Texas, would you take 9-4 right now in basketball out of conference? I think I would. What do you say, Roman?
10-3.
But would you?
Oh, would I take
if
it?
someone offered you 9-4 without knowing the wins and the losses?
No. Because I think 10-3 or 11-2 is really possible.
I'm gonna get. So if you're 9-4, it guarantees that you've got to win over 2 out of the group of Kentucky, Cincinnati, Arkansas, Indiana, Memphis, and Tennessee and Baylor. So 2 out of I guess. Am I doing the math right? So 3 of those teams you've beaten, unless you've lost to one of the other nobodies on the schedule. But there's a world where, like, I don't know how good Cincinnati's going to be without Jizzle James. I think Indiana's going to be better than a lot of people believe they are, but that's not a guarantee. Memphis State could be a non-tournament team. You just never know.
Tennessee might not be that good.
Tennessee may take a step back. I still think they're going to be very good. UK, I think, is going to be good. Arkansas, I think, is going to be good. I don't think they're going to be as good as everybody else. Baylor's still a little bit of an unknown. I think they're kind of back end of the top 25 top team, according to most people going into the season. So I think we can go at least 10-3 against this out of conference schedule, and I would take the risk of potentially going 8-5 because I don't think we will. Texter says, what is this? It's a link to something. What is your Mount Rushmore of women who made me realize I wasn't gay? I don't know. But it's Tiffany Amber Thiesen's the lead. That would be my number one for sure. It was my first true love growing up. Texture says, boy, I'm sick of people who I still kiss Tom Jurich's picture conveniently leave out how he worked with the NCAA and smirk. He was the AD for a while, and if I recall, didn't fight, losing the banner, and people want to crap on Josh. I mean, I think Tom has said he would put the banner back up, which is easier for him to say right now that he's not the athletic director. He did. I mean, look, he hired Chuck Smurt. Chuck Smurt had, in his defense, gotten Louisville off of an NCAA tournament ban in the 90s, but the game changed, and Smurt didn't change with it. He did what he thought was doing right. He did what he thought was right when he was hired. Turns out we needed to fight more than we did. We needed to not work with the NCAA because the NCAA is the one who's changed, not us. And, yeah, it's not like Tom was okay with the way the NCAA handled things. Texas, who are you going to root for in the evil empire matchup of Texas and Ohio State? I don't like either conference or either program. And even though it's a top 5 game to start the season, it's hard to root for either. My gut says go with Texas over Ohio State fans' arrogance, but what's your take? This is truly a Sophie's choice for me. I probably like Texas more as a program than Ohio State, but I definitely hate the SEC more than I hate the Big Ten. I can't stand Ohio State. Never have been able to. Just do not like the program. Don't care for Texas, but I'm not as close to it. So I feel like there aren't as many Texas fans around you as there are Ohio State fans. But I hate the SEC.
Give me Ohio State.
I've got to root for Ohio State here. I think that's the case too. I'll watch the game just as a standard fan. Got all these great games. I'm going to have no rooting interest whatsoever outside of the ACC besides Clemson. And even then, I'm going to have to root for Clemson. Texter says, I'm petitioning not only Louisville fans, but fans of all ACC teams to just start calling Notre Dame an ACC school. They're a member in the league for 24 varsity sports, and play is for half their game. I think pay is for half their games annually. They can't pretend any longer. Notre Dame is ACC.
I'm with the texter.
Just call them ACC.
Yep. You don't
Great.
get to be ACC everything else, but not football. You want to make that the case? Then take them out of the ACC and all the other sports.
Texas says, did you sing Girl on TV to Mary Rutherford at your anniversary dinner? No. But we had a lovely night together. It was very nice. Texas says, you mentioned not having a great day betting. I'm sure you did better than the guys at 93.9. They put together a pick six that hit at Saratoga. Their ticket cost $5,760. The pick six paid $145. Their listeners were not. I don't mean to laugh, but I do know that like a $1 ticket still paid like $7. A lot of chalk. You can't. I won't criticize, but yeah, when you've got Sovereignty as a 1-5 favorite running in a 5-horse field, that's one of those sequences that I think you just stay away from. You're not going to make bank unless you get a bunch of upset win. Like, you've got to leave out the favorites during that sequence, because even if you win, you're going to lose money, and it's going to cost you less for the overall ticket if you just leave those horses out. Texas says, last time John Calipari lost a home game to us, Darius Washington Jr. broke down in tears. God, that's depressing to say. I know you're trying to bring up a good memory, but it's embarrassing. And that was well, hold on. Did we not play them at all after that, I guess? Yeah, I guess we didn't. We made the jump to the Big East the next year. So we haven't beaten John Calipari at home since 2005. Roman, this has to change.
20 years later is a charm, Mike.
I mean, we haven't beaten Kentucky and Lexington in forever. That's got to change. Can't do anything about it this year. But we can take care of the Calipari part by going down there and beating the Hogs in Fayetteville and then posting the highlights on Hogs Plus.
Is that worse than having not beat them in football at home since, 2013?
You mean on our own home field?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't beaten them at Cardinal Stadium since 2014. Now, we've had fewer. I mean, the football's bad because there are two games that we, without question, should have won. And then I think one more that was kind of a toss-up. 2018, we were going to get killed. We got killed. But it sounds terrible to say that, but the reality is it's only 4 games. It's a 4-game losing streak that spans 12 years. We didn't play them in 2020, so that added a year.
Yeah, that's true.
But not having beaten them in Lexington in basketball since Billy Gillespie was there is extremely embarrassing. That's terrible. The Calipari fact is not, they go hand in hand, but it's also bad. Text that I haven't heard much about our receivers outside of Bell and Lacey. Are the rest just not good as they were supposed to be, or are Lacey and Bell just that good? I think Lacey and Bell are clear-cut above everybody else, but Jeff Brom spoke pretty glowingly about Trayshawn Hurry and Antonio Meeks today. I think the receivers besides them are going to be good enough, but it's a big mystery. We got a bunch of guys that hadn't been in this program until this year, Takari Collins, Bobby Golden, and then some guys that have been in the program for a few years but haven't been asked to do a ton. So, yeah, I think the talk about Bell and Lacey and everybody else is more about just the fact that we know what we're getting with Bell and Lacey, and everybody else comes with a more of an air of mystery. Texture says, to follow back on last week's show, I think UK hosting a game in the Yum would be a great opportunity for all Louisville fans to buy the tickets and show up wearing red, or would that money go toward UK? I think they get a portion of the gate. I don't know all the detail. I mean, I think that's the way that it was back in the day when they played at Freedom Hall. I still just don't like it. Don't let them play here. They can go play at Valley High School if they want to do that. Play with the high school teams. Texture says, don't miss my first text. Let's see here. Happy game week, boys. This is Scoots Hater. 2 things. First, Mike, have you taken your kids to the Playport in downtown? It's really cool. My wife and I are going to take our almost 2-year-old there in the future. I don't know what Playport is. No, have not. Second, our pharmacist really busy during the day. We have a long draft for a fantasy football league, and one of our buddies who we have constant problems with is a pharmacist. He's claiming for a redraft since we started in the middle of the day, but we give everyone 4 hours to pick, and it pauses at 10 p.m. tonight. What are your thoughts?
4 hours per pick?
Trevor did this. He would be during the show.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
And he would be like, all right, it's my turn. And it was like 3 hours after his last pick. I was like, this is insane. I think it depends on what you do. Mary's she's got a handful of jobs as a pharmacist. Some of them have been incredibly time-consuming.
Yeah, where they don't really get more than an hour off.
Yeah.
Their entire shift.
Now, she also she doesn't do retail. She has managed care. So it's more of kind of like an office job. She's not a traditional, she's a pharmacist, but she doesn't do much of the things that she learned in pharmacy school. So I think it's kind of hard to equate with what she does with what the average pharmacist would do. But her job right now is a little bit more flexible. She's still super busy, but it used to be, I felt like she was working like 11 hours a day, and it was rough.
This is tough because his career is getting in the way. I'd give him a redraft.
Yeah.
But with those kind of, he had 4. It's tough. That's the kind of job where you can't risk anything at work for fantasy football. So I'd give him a redraft.
He's got to step up, though. At some point, you got to sacrifice something.
That's true. How long you been a pharmacist? Come on now.
Scootator also says, if you had the choice between Kentucky playing in the Yum on our court or on their court, which would you choose? I would choose our court because I don't want their ugly court disgracing the Yum Center. I don't think it's any question. It's got to be our court. You can't have Kentucky logo.
Bringing that UK wood in here.
Yeah, that can't happen. And that's the way that it was at Freedom Hall. Again, to keep going back to that, they didn't get to change anything. I think they had maybe like a banner at the scores table, but it was still all the U of L logos were everywhere. You can't infiltrate our arena and do that crap. No. Lazard guy said, I had the same thoughts while watching Iowa State and K-State. They're super mid, and we would handle them. The Shador conspiracy theories are some of the wildest I've ever seen, and I venture down conspiracy rabbit holes pretty often. The guy just isn't a great QB, and the plays from this weekend happen all the time at Colorado. Instead of climbing the pocket, he drifts backward like a video game quarterback. I mean, I think that's what everybody sort of sees. I think he's got skills. I think you can work with him. But to act like when he's sitting back there for 6 seconds that it's like the offensive line just not blocking for him, that's absurd. I saw he had the longest average time spent in the pocket of any quarterback in preseason since 2013, according to Pro Football Focus. Like that's not a conspiracy. It's him just not getting the ball out.
Called slow progressions.
And just backing up, and then taking a 20-yard loss. Like you can't.
He's not open. Let me look over here.
You can't do it. I mean, he does. He looks like a video game quarterback out there in a bad way. Texas says rank the schools that you would have attended if you had a choice and a full ride. UK, Memphis State, Arizona State, DePaul. I mean, Arizona State's number one, and it's not even close. Have you seen what goes on at Arizona State?
Yeah, that would be a fun time.
I would have paid to go there. I'll put DePaul at 2.
Yep, not stepping foot in Memphis.
I'm not going to Memphis State. I'll put Kentucky at 3. I would have gone to Kentucky, get that in-state tuition. I would have had friends there. I can't imagine going to Memphis State regardless, but especially when I know nobody down there. That would have just been a bad time. Are you putting UK at 4?
Yep.
Okay. Texas, I might have missed it, but didn't you say you were getting Dan Meskey on? When's that happening? I'm efforting behind the scenes. I'm going to harass him again tonight. Texas says, well, that texter just outed himself as an absolute moron who is physically incapable of forming an opinion worth considering. Mike, ignore him. Better Call Saul is a great show. If you like Breaking Bad, you'll love it. I love that I didn't know where that was going. I didn't know what text that was in reference to. But, of course, it was about the guy who said Better Call Saul is not that good. The text line has no stronger opinions than it does on Better Call Saul. Texter says, this little dumper. Mike, what is your opinion on the Reds' new pitcher, Big Sugar? Is that the guy who struck out the Reds record for the rookie record the other day? Maxwell. His post-game interview was electric. Now, he came in when we were already down like 9-0 and pitched really well. Struck out 5 guys in 2 innings. His stuff looked great. I don't know why we haven't been I don't know why he hadn't been on the big league roster before this. I'm still so down on this Reds team. I can't. They play well against the Dodgers. If they win the 2 of these 3, I'll keep some hope alive. I just feel like we're never going to get over the hump. We're going to be like 2 or 3 games back until we get to mid-September. We'll finally get swept by somebody, and then we'll be out of it. We'll just go through the motions. It's either that, Roman, or we're going to go an entire season without getting swept. We're going to squeak into the playoffs, and then we're going to get swept in the first round of the playoffs for the only sweep of the season. I'm a Reds fan. I'm cynical by nature. Texter says, not sure if it's been mentioned, but shout out to St. X for shutting down that bum Evan Hampton. I'm glad they showed him how we play football here in Louisville. I did mention, I'm not going to go so far as to call him a bum, but he didn't do much against St. X over the weekend. I think that Christian Academy plays, another local school plays Owensboro this week. I think it's Cal, who looked awfully good in week 1. And I think they go on the road to play Owensboro. So another chance for a Louisville school to shut down the Louisville flip at running back. Texas, I need a pronunciation guide for the pronunciation guide. Like, what the hell are the random Greek letters and the merged A and E supposed to mean? I rather just sound like a redneck trying to pronounce names than decipher that bleep. It's a great text. I enjoy that. Texas, do you think Arch Manning looks like he has a shrunken head?
Something going on.
No. I don't see. I don't know. I mean, the Mannings are weird-looking guys. It's who they are. But they're great football players. Also says it looks like, according to our schedule, the Indiana game on December 6th is going to be 2 p.m. on CBS. It feels wrong when we play Indiana and it's not on CBS. It was always the case when I was growing up. I feel like it still has been the case on the rare times where we've played. I think the last game that we played was on ESPN, the Gotham Classic, but that was Kenny Payne, so it doesn't count. Yeah, if you're playing IU, if it's Louisville versus IU, it should be an afternoon game on the weekend on CBS, and it looks like that's going to be the case this year. Texas, the quote by Vangelis Zugris' coach makes him sound like a high-character warrior. You can't use that phrase. You cannot use that phrase. Texas, I like Moss to have a better handle of the offense than Shuck. I'm not saying Shuck was bad. Moss just seems like a high IQ guy. I think he'll be good with checks and audibles. He sounds like a coach in that recent Go Cards video. I mean, that was they put out a video yesterday kind of talking about Miller Moss and getting to know him better as a fan base. And Brian talked about his intelligence level, I think 3 or 4 times. It does seem to be something that they're really comfortable with, is his ability to come in here, grasp the playbook, and then be able to execute it on the actual field. Yeah, I mean, there's really no excuse for him in this offense to not go out there and have full command of the short to intermediary passing game. So I am excited about that element of his game. I just, he's got to be a good enough complement to the run game, or else everybody's just going to start selling out to stop Isaac and Duke. And I don't know if he can do that. Texas Mike is clearly on an opinion with his Clemson opinion because holy crap, the national media are slobbering all over them. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to do this again. But we got a text, Roman, we got a tweet to both of us that had this, I don't even know what website this is, Bleacher Report, projecting the top wide receivers in college football. They've got Clemson as the number 1 receiving core, not corpse, core, and they've got 2 of the 10 best individual wide receivers, both being from Clemson. Antonio Williams is number 5. Bryant Wesco Jr. is number 8. So according to all of the position rankings, Clemson's got 2 of the 4 best defensive linemen in all of college football. They've got the best quarterback in all of college football. They've got 2 of the 8 best wide receivers in college football. How is this team going to lose to anybody, Roman?
Number 1 in absolutely everything.
All these guys were on the team last year, and they were good. They weren't great. They lost to us handily. They lost to Georgia 34-3. They lost to Texas 38-24. They lost to South Carolina in a game where they scored 14 points. I'm taking crazy pills over here. I'm the only one that sees it. It's like the Twilight Zone episode with that little gremlins on the wing of the plane, and the guy's the only person, nobody else can see it. That's me right now with Clemson.
I hope you're right, Mike.
I know I'm right. I'm going to laugh at everybody for saying this. Texas, don't forget that we smoked IU in Atlanta. I somehow always forget that game when I talk about the series with Indiana. It just felt like so much more of a Louisville basketball moment than it did a Louisville beating Indiana type moment, because it was our first big win. But yeah, that game was also on ESPN. Texter says, James Madison, quarterback from last year, was just cleared to play. Looks like a tear of the D. Wasn't there was a rumor last night about Cade Klubnik getting into a car accident that was also fake. People have no shame whatsoever. The NCAA's cleared a bunch of guys today. They cleared the running back who transferred into South Carolina. I think that it's just like the NCAA knows it's done. But Sluka has been fully cleared to play for James Madison. He is currently, Sluka, I guess, was already cleared. They fully cleared the kid, Alonzo Barnett, who transferred in from Arizona State. Anyway, he's battling with Camden Coleman and Matthew Sluka for the starting job. Barnett, I take it back, was the starter last year at James Madison. 2,588 yards, 26 touchdowns for the Dukes. Texas, Tayon Holloway clamped those bum Clemson wide receivers last year. You're damn right. Texas, I don't like how your explanation of how Clemson football was bad last year. You said they lost to us. I said they're not preseason number 1. Texas says Cutter. Damn right. All right, Roman, give me some big X big bets.
All right, Mike, got a few plays here. We're on the Blue Jays tonight, money line, straight up. We're also on the Texas Rangers money line, straight up.
Okay.
Good. We got Scherzer on the mound. We got DeGrom on the mound, 2 pitchers we like to take when they're at home. We've also, in the WNBA, or on the under 166.5 on the Las Vegas Aces at Chicago Sky game. Sky can defend a little bit better at home, and they're still not going to put a lot of points up at all on the Aces. I think this Aces win handedly here, but they do keep this game under 166 with like a 81-60 kind of a victory.
Dana Evans is balling right now.
That's the three plays. Under 166.5, Ace of Sky, Rangers money line, Blue Jays money line.
Real quick, Reds Dodgers late night 10-10 first pitch. Who gets game 1 tonight?
Hunter Green, this will be the game they get, Mike.
Okay. Dodgers are rolling right now. Plus, they got 2 former Cardinals. Dalton Rushing, huge bomb yesterday. Hopefully, the Reds can get it done. Hey, more Louisville sports talk getting ready for week 1. Dalton Pence, his Monday show up next. Keep it right here for the next 90 minutes. I'll talk to you tomorrow at 2:30. Go Cards.
Go Cards.
The Mike Rutherford Show was brought to you by United